February 8th, 2024, Southampton Town Planning Board meeting. May we have a roll call, Gloria, please?
Chair Lufaro,
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty,
Present.
the Secretary is here. Board Member Catalinato.
Present.
Board Member Mutu.
Present.
Board Member Neely.
Present.
Board Member Fulham.
Present.
We have a full board.
Great, wonderful. Please join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gloria, do we have minutes?
We do January 25th.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Kate, second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Seven, are there seven of us? Seven
Yes, all
in
seven.
favor?
Seven. It feels strange to say that.
Okay,
We could count for you.
okay, Teresa, you're up first. This is the Karofsky subdivision at 20 Central Avenue, East Quad.
That's right near the hills.
Go. Here's a copy of the draft resolution as well as the report. So this is the aerial of the of the property, and then here is the proposed subdivision. So the applicant is seeking to subdivide the existing 64,000 square foot parcel into two residential parcels, one containing the existing dwelling and swimming pool, and then the other currently contains legally pre-existing sheds and detached garages. There are two of them. They are pre-existing non-conforming, and they do have certificates of occupancy for all of the structures. This is a minor subdivision, and they can proceed to final subdivision upon approval from the planning board. The park requirement for the parcel would be 0.05 acres, and as that would not provide suitable area for an active recreation or passive recreation, a park fee should be submitted as well. A public hearing was held on January 11th, and no comments were, one comment was received from the neighbor here on this property, and they would like to see some screening along this property line in order to provide them with some privacy. We did receive referrals from the fire marshal's office, the fire district, the engineering department, and the conservation department, as well as the Trials Advisory Board and Suffolk County Department of Health Services. Our recommendations are that all the structures will need to be removed from proposed Lot 2. However, I believe the applicant has some concerns with respect to that requirement. I think they would like to see that the structures remain on the site until such time as the actual parcel is conveyed to another property owner. But that is at your discretion. As requested by, I believe it was the engineers division, the applicant will need to provide monuments on all corners and changes in direction in the boundary line. The broken sidewalk in front of the properties should be repaired in accordance with highway standards. A covenant requiring 3-inch drainage for all impervious structures should be provided as part of final subdivision approval. If the property is located in stormwater management zone, and that notation should be added to the survey and final subdivision map. The fire marshal, the town engineer recommends that the pool fence that is associated with proposed Lot 1 be located wholly onto that property. The water main that is shown here, he is requesting that it be shown to be extended along the entirety of the frontage of the parcels, inclusive of the flag lot, and any chemicals that have been stored at the site should be disposed of properly, and as requested by the adjacent property owner, screening should be provided along the southerly lot line of proposed Lot 2. So again, I believe the applicant's agent has is requesting that the accessory structures be allowed to remain on the lot until the lot is conveyed.
Can you point them out to us?
Yes, it's here, let me,
Give us an
let
area.
me show the aerial, it's a little more clear on the aerial. It's this detached garage, this shed, and this shed. I don't know if she wishes to keep all of them or some of them, she can.
I think the code, didn't they amend the code a few years back?
The
that
code
allows-
says that you can have accessory structures as long as you're substantially adjacent to the lot that you own that has the principal structure, and you can demonstrate that there is sufficient area for a principal structure, which is clearly you can on this property.
Right.
But as soon as the lot is conveyed to someone else, the structures do
Oh,
have to
yeah.
be removed. Is that correct? Yeah.
So it would be tied, I think, by covenant, then, right?
I don't know what the mechanism is for that.
Yeah.
By covenant?
It would be covered on the vacant lot, they couldn't be conveyed. That
So,
would-
I mean, again, how the board wants to proceed, if they want to allow that under that code section, or if you want them removed as part of the final
I mean,
subdivision.
it's allowed under the code, so we're not really giving them anything. You know, their other option is to go to the zoning board of appeals, which typically the language is structures to be removed or made to conform. The way you make them conform is getting a variance. But,
But that's quite a few variances.
yeah, that's, yeah, I think they would just a
Yeah.
covenant would do the trick.
Yeah,
Okay,
waste.
You know.
so you will be willing to allow the structures to remain until such time as the lot is
I mean, it
conveyed?
I mean,
I mean, I
it
think-
complies.
I think if you can put that in the conditions. Who was
Okay.
did you want to come and speak? Yeah. Great,
Yeah, you want.
you have papers.
Good evening, good afternoon, board members. Heather Wright for the applicant. Yes, the applicant would like pursuant to 330-76C1 to allow the current accessory structures on the property to remain so long as the property is in common ownership or in an entity that obviously has the members who are the same owners as the adjacent parcel. They primarily want to keep the structures because it's like their son lives behind them, their daughter lives next to them. It's kind of family storage, essentially.
Yeah.
So we would certainly be willing to covenant that those would be removed in accordance with the code provision.
It looks like a commercial operation to me.
And that's another point that I want to, I know that was mentioned in the pre-app draft. It is not a commercial operation, and it's not, obviously not commercially zoned. So the applicant is cleaning up the site. There's a lot of debris, and, you know, it kind of became the family storage lot. So they'll clean it up. They've already spoken to the neighbor about doing so. You know, they have a good relationship with their neighbor. But like I said, we'd like to take advantage of that code provision to at least allow the accessory structures to remain.
And is anybody living in those structures?
No, they don't have, I confirmed with the applicant, they don't have, one of them has electric, I think the longer one has electric, but no other utilities, and the one to the back has no utilities.
It sounds like that they're subdividing, but they have no intention of selling.
At this point, it's, you know, obviously people do this for estate planning
That's
purposes.
kind of where I was going.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
So we'll put that in the findings, and we'll put it in the conditions, and it'll be a covenant.
That's great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you all.
Claire, you've got Lewis Road.
We got that.
We have to adopt.
Motion to
Oh,
adopt
a
the
motion to
report.
adopt the report. So motion to adopt the report by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor. Lewis Road site plan,
Yeah. So let me show you the plans.
this is re-veg, right?
This is re-veg, so a condition of approval. I'm sorry, I didn't know everyone was gonna be here, so I barely have enough for you.
You need one of these back?
Surprised you.
No, I have one, so thanks. As you were considering the approval for the site plan subdivision, you were establishing the open space on the parcel, and there was some historic clearing and disturbance on the parcel that at the time you said you wanted to review if there was any revegetation. So I've taken a good look at this plan, pursuant to what we usually do with a site disturbance. I've taken a look at it, and it's all natives that are going in there. And they're reestablishing both the overstory, the understory, which is the shrubs, ground cover and grasses on the property. So it's a good, it's a good overall plan.
Explain
Yeah.
the colors to us.
Yeah, so the generally, it's 21 areas, and they're here. This is down where like the open space was created adjacent to the workforce housing. That would be here. This is just an area of an open space between the entrance and the holes. This is in between some easement areas adjacent to the holes in the houses here, and then the vast majority of the revegetation and the bigger space is in the actual open space up there. And then there's a little bit of area again between the holes and some
So the
developments.
orange color is just what's being revegetated. What's the
Correct.
blue?
The blue is, I think it's existing, yeah, what is the blue? Let's look. Existing cleared area, inside development. So that's all, it's cleared, but it's gonna be developed. Yeah, exactly.
And the large space, that's the only part that needs to be re-vegged, the rest of it is pine barrens?
Yes, the rest is natural pine barrens,
Okay.
correct, yes,
Do
exactly.
you know, are they using the materials, they had dug up a lot of stuff and were storing
I
it?
was thinking that myself, and they probably could have, I don't know, do you want to address it? Fran? Just identify yourself.
Good afternoon, Frank Reiner from Nelson Pope and Voorhees. And if you could let in Rusty Schmidt from my office, our landscape ecologist. He's on via Zoom, but I'll give you a quick rundown. So yes, the idea is that we did harvest a fair amount of seed and actual plant stock from the property prior to areas being disturbed. Some of those were taken off-site, grown in nurseries, or just held. Some were held on-site, and yes, the idea is that they want to use the same material to re-veg these areas. There will be some areas that we don't have enough material to do that, but as the seed continues to grow, we'll be able to insert into those areas that are void.
Oh, the
That's
Zoom
great.
is not working? Okay, but I think that answers some of your questions, right? Do we need some additional
Yeah, and
information?
who has specified has Marty seen the re-veg plan? And
No, I did it like we would a typical site disturbance, so we didn't go to Marty, but I'm familiar with the area. I went on site myself.
Okay.
And I saw some of the areas that were gonna be revegetated, so, I mean, basically a lot of pitch pine.
Pitch pine,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, so, that is being incorporated into the
It'll be
plan.
done in spring, starting spring?
Okay.
Is that
It's
what
available.
will you start in spring?
I do believe that was the objective. I do not know how much we'll get done in the spring, but, because there's quite a lot of area to cover, and we have to wait for the material to grow. Some of the seed was harvested as recently as the fall, because the grasses and some of even the shrubs, you can't collect the seeds until the fall, because that's when they're ready to fall. And it does take a few months for them to actually propagate to the extent where we can actually transplant them into the ground. So again, the idea was to utilize the seed stock and the material that were on site to create a micro ecosystem that's appropriate for that area. And diversity is key. We can't just plant pitch pines. We all see what's happening to the pitch pines. So there's a good mixture of materials that were on site, from the canopy all the way down to the herbaceous ground cover, to be consistent with the pine barren habitat that's currently there.
We normally, in our re-veg plans, we have a fairly short window to get it done. So how does that work in this, because it sounds like you're talking about a significant amount of time.
This would be, I would answer that this would be a subject to the site plans being completed. So in this case, I think 5 years was given to the site plan to be completed, the time frame. And before a site plan is issued a CO, this is gonna have to be completed.
Then we get a maintenance bond.
And then we'll get a maintenance bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll put a maintenance bond as a condition.
Is there someone who's coming?
So Rusty Schmidt from my office is here to answer tech.
issue, I think, with the Zoom right now.
Okay,
So-
all right.
He can answer technical questions about the plants themselves, but I think that the idea is that we're maintaining the habitat that's there, and to do that as efficiently and appropriately as possible, gathering the stock from the site
That's you.
keeps it, in its proper Long Island native genotypes.
Okay. Are they being grown out off-site?
Some are grown on-site, most are grown off-site, right here in Southampton. So we've contracted with 2 different nurseries.
That's what I was getting at, was who are you working with?
Oh, Warren's is one of them.
Okay,
I think it's Long Island Natives is the other.
okay.
Both are very familiar with proper growing protocol to make sure that the plants will survive when they're planted.
Claire, can you add it says existing disturbed areas, can you add in a quantifiable number of acres or square?
Oh, yeah, I think it's 5.85 acres or
That
something.
sounds
to that
about right.
effect. It's
Yep.
right on the plans, but about a little over 5 acres, so I'll put that.
There are also areas that are.
Here we go.
Oh,
Is he there?
Yep.
your
In a
colleague
field
is-
of flowers.
Perfect background.
It's Rusty.
I think that's a screen.
Yeah, so Rusty's here to answer technical questions, but again, another point to be made is, as part of these restorative efforts, there is at least 2 areas on the property that are very overwhelmed with invasive materials, high invasive materials, high density, and the eradication of those invasives will be part of the efforts to restore it back to its native habitat.
Where is that? Where are those areas?
Those areas are, do you mind if I come up? Sure. So they're shown in purple, I believe. The legend's right here on the map, if anybody wants to look at these in more detail. But anyway, there are these areas right here. Right here. And it's high vigor bamboo, multiflora rose, honeysuckles.
We don't have your audio.
Rusty, are you on mute?
Oh, now
Okay,
you
are.
Just increase your audio.
We got you now. No, I heard him.
Japanese knotweed is the main one.
Rusty, introduce yourself.
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm Rusty Schmidt. I'm the senior landscape ecologist with Nelson Pope and Voorhees. I've been to the site over the years many times, and can answer a number of questions. But what I heard, what we were just talking about is CV9 and CV10, which are or RV9 and RV10 are the revegetated 2 areas that need to be restored, and the 2 main problem plants are bamboo and Japanese knotweed. But there's a whole bunch of other things there as well, including myelominate, multiple rose, and other things.
The bamboo is incredible. How big
It is.
fat. It's like this.
It has
And
been there for a long
And you're in
time.
there, and you're like, there's no light coming through it. It's like a different world.
And you
Rusty?
dig all that out, it's all manual.
Yeah.
It's, well, the
Backhoes.
bamboo will need machines, yes,
Right,
because
right.
it does get pretty deep.
They're not using herbicides or anything to kill them.
The primary objective is to dig them out.
Doesn't kill them anyway. You need to get those rhizomes out.
And
Right.
you know, the protocol is herbicides can be helpful, but we do recognize that there is a limitation on the use of herbicides. So for bamboo, digging is appropriate. The Japanese knotweed, it's more challenging. Stuff is like wildfire, you know, and everything that's on that list of invasives that are, it's weird that it's sort of, they're all confined to that area because that's the most disturbed area from the previous landscape use. But they're all challenging in their own regard. So there will be a continual maintenance that will be associated with those areas as part of the restorative efforts. But we can do it. We just need time, you know.
So Claire, I would add that to the fourth whereas, that there's an area of invasive species that need to be removed.
2 areas, right, specifically?
The
Yes,
anything
they're-
that's purple on the map.
Yeah, they're specified on the map.
And you have to coordinate with the DEC on the invasives removal and the method, or
Actually, we're coordinating with the Pine Barrens Commission.
with Pine Barrens?
Yeah, yep, they're part of this review as well. Disturbances in this area are heavily regulated by them. The revegetation efforts are heavily overseen by their qualified staff. We've been working with them exhaustingly over the last many, many years, more than a decade, to try to make sure that the project is properly executed and the restoration efforts are properly implemented into the site. And so far, I think that they would agree that, the efforts are being made to make sure that that's happening. Fencing has been installed along the way to make sure that areas of no disturbance are being maintained. And like I said, they recognize that we have been collecting seed and transplanting plants. So yeah, it's been a pretty heavy undertaking, but it's happening.
Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? No?
So I'm going to add a whereas related to the 2 areas that have the removal of invasive species, as noted on the
Just
plan.
a little more detail, Claire.
Great.
Because it's kind of broad.
Yep. And then I'll make a provision about the maintenance bonds after the completion, okay? And then, of course, as he spoke about it, Pine Barrens will have to approve this plan prior
We
to
have
any
to have that,
implementation.
yeah.
So I've included that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you'll add a few more. Okay,
Great.
Thanks.
Sure.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're not
We can
going
adopt
with-
it if you like.
Well, you want
Thank
to
you.
write it, no?
No.
Did you want to submit it again? I mean, it's very, to me, very vague. I don't know how
I can
everybody
do that
else
for the,
feels.
I'm just not here the 22nd, so I can do it for the 14th and write it up for you. What
Do they wanna
you're
get
comfortable
going
with.
on the planting though?
No, they're not going to plant now.
I don't
When
think
are you
they'll
gonna
plant
start
by March
planting?
They won't do any
14th.
planting.
I don't think so.
You can plant next week. It's 50 degrees
weekend.
outside.
Yeah, for 50, but I don't think they're getting Pine Barrens approval by.
No, you need
yeah.
Pine
Yeah.
Barrens
I mean, usually
approval
isn't
and
there like
everything.
a map of, like a landscape plan? Is it in there?
This is
The-
the details?
Yeah.
Yeah, every
Every
page,
sheet.
this is a key,
Yeah.
So-
and every page has a detail.
They're highly detailed plans.
Yeah.
Each area is broken out individually on the plans.
Do you want me to
Yeah.
email it to you? We can be promoted.
I think you need,
No, I
I
just
think
feel
you
like,
need to
that's what
reference
we
it.
normally
I
see,
mean,
so
they're
I
not-
just wanted to make sure that was included
Yeah.
and Pine Barrens will review it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen this,
great.
any
Yeah,
of
we've
this,
never seen any of it.
anything, so I can't listen to you and read.
I'm gonna rewrite it, and we'll have it on for the 14th for adoption.
And more detail, Claire, and reference this. These are great, these plans.
No, the plans are referenced in the usage of the, yes, of course, I can.
You have no greenhouse on it. I mean, when we went for site visits, it's all, the nursery is all open.
It's open.
Yeah, you don't have a little temporary greenhouse.
No
No.
temporary structures that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Wayne, do you want to say something?
Yes, hi, Wayne Bruin with Shea Marcinkin Bruin. I'm just wondering, the details that you're looking for, I think Claire has a handle on, it's referenced in the plan, but ultimately the decision that you're making is to approve that plan, and we need to get in front of the Pine Barrens and get
Yeah.
this done. It also is something that is holding up our site plan. It's the last element of us,
Is the
was a condition of
landscaping?
your site plan, so we can't move forward with anything
Yeah,
with the building
all right.
department, so
I-
without your approval.
I get
We
it.
understand planting, we can't do it to the Pine Barrens, but at
Mhm.
least we can process our site plan and start to apply for building permits and things of that sort. So
Okay.
I was hoping that you could do that today rather than wait
Well,
another
my
month.
only issue is if we can get Claire to,
Do you want me to type it up while somebody's talking this afternoon? And
yeah, more
I can do
detail,
that.
and then we'll pass it.
Yeah,
yeah.
that'll take me
Okay.
5
We
minutes.
just need
Appreciate
more
that, yeah.
detail, yeah.
So we'll adopt it, well, you can even adopt it tonight if we don't catch it before the end of the meeting.
Well, we
so-
should, yeah. We should
Yeah.
before the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can do
and I
that.
think everybody's in agreement to
Yeah, I
pass
would
it.
just like to
We
actually
just-
read
yeah.
it.
If
Yeah,
there's
I
a revision
understand.
to the resolution, we should see it
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this case.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll do my best,
Thanks.
unless you keep me here the whole time.
Your Puccio laundromat, Claire, another extension?
He's here for Puccio,
No?
right? Well, he gave me an extension, so let's do the extension, but I do want him here for the discussion, and maybe he just was a little late, so if you don't mind tabling it until he
Okay,
appears.
we'll table it.
But if you want to do the extension, he gave it to me till March 14th.
Extension to March 14th. Motion
Motion.
by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor. Opposed, abstentions. Okay, Sunrise of Spionk, 1313 Spionk Riverhead Road.
Yeah, this is Sunrise and Spionk. Is
Mhm.
someone here for that? Hi, how are you? Did you get a copy of this? I did not. Okay, I'm gonna give you one. so this one we reviewed at the last meeting, so this is just the decision to go over based upon the staff report discussion. I don't think there was much to it, but we'll go over the decision, just 1 second. Okay. I think I have enough for everybody. This is that industrial building.
Yeah.
Jason told Delandro, there's 2 actions. One is going to be modifying the covenant to be consistent with the APOD 50%, and the second action would be to approve the warehouse application, 2 office and 2 storage bays on the property.
Right. So Claire, I read this and I wondered if, I guess we do in the special exemption, mention the fact that that plume is close by. Do they need to do anything? They need notification on the site plan
So,
documents? I didn't see anything in the final conditions.
yeah, we could do that as a general condition of approval, where there should be only, no basements, only construction on slab. We could do that. We mentioned it in the staff report.
And notification, doesn't have to be noticed on the site plan itself, that the condition?
That if you put it as a general condition, it will be a condition on your site plan, because it will be affixed to the
What's the
front of it.
condition? No basement?
So let me look at this. The parcel lies within the 1,000, this is page 3 of the staff report, hazardous waste site. Parcel lies within 1,000 feet of the DEC documented potential hazardous waste site. As with past commercial applications, the applicant has agreed to no basement, only slab construction. So due to the location adjacent to, there can
plume.
only be on
Yeah.
slab construction.
Right.
on the
And no
space.
notification is necessary? I thought there had to be some notification.
The health departments may have some notification with the county, but not in this case. We're not the approving authority
Because I
on
know
this.
in residences, remember the vapor barrier that we talked about? And we couldn't really impose that, but what we could do,
We can pose it area.
I think that's, yeah, if they have basements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
We
the
did it
health
on
department?
Woodfield Gables, we did it, we did it somewhere else.
okay,
Does the health department administrate that, or?
No, we do it,
We
we've
do.
done it.
Yeah.
Planning board has required that.
yeah. So I just wanted to know if there was something that we should include here because of its proximity.
I thought
Mhm.
vapor barriers weren't needed in this location because
Not-
of the water table. I think,
Yeah,
as I
because-
understood it, the water table is approximately like 80 feet down from the site. I mean, it's considered a possible source site right to the west there,
Mm-hmm.
but the water table is down like 80 feet.
Mm-hmm, and what, the water is what's contaminated, that's what you're saying?
It was a groundwater.
The groundwater, yeah.
This
Mhm.
is slab.
This is gonna be
It's a
slab
slab.
construction.
There's no
It's
basement.
a slab.
Mhm. That's the information we have to date. When we do referrals to the county, and at one point they were giving feedback to that, but at this point they don't, so.
That's probably because they have public water now, right?
They do, yeah.
Mhm. So that's, you know, again, what we, the Delandro's only 2 sites now, what we just approved in November. But that's what we did is, you know, mention it in the staff report, but we could put it as a general condition, that it would be only on
Yeah.
slab
I
construction.
think so.
Okay, then I'll add it.
So we didn't do anything on the land?
You did it, but this would be just a general condition. I think it's just a notification, right, to any
More than
future.
anything.
Yeah. Do you want me to just to do the resolves in this case? That's page 2 of the resolution. Everything else we've reviewed. The first resolve would be the planning board hereby authorizes the amendment to the covenant up to 50% for the Sunrise fee on parcel pursuant to the town code, and that would be submission of the amended covenant to be submitted as a condition. The second resolve is to approve the special exception application for 2 special trade contract uses on the subject property. Just want to make sure that that's correct. Additional outdoor storage, except what is shown on the site plan, is prohibited without further review and approval by the planning board. And the third resolved is the adoption of the staff report and the approval of the site plan and application. And the conditions, number 1A is note the location of 2 chargers, EV chargers in the parking lot. B is compliance with Department of Public Safety comments. C is compliance with the town engineer comments. D is removal of dry wells from the 50-foot buffer. E is note the type of outdoor storage on the site plan, i.e. vehicles and clean dumpsters. F, note the lighting on the building. All lighting should be mounted on the building no more than 10 feet above grade. Note the dumpster to be enclosed. Remove reference to the freestanding sign in the buffer. It could be located along the driveway. I just make a suggestion because they're putting it right in the buffer with the vegetation. You can't see a sign in the vegetation. So my new general condition of approval is going to be the wording related to the contamination and the on-site, the slab construction for the building. And then a project limiting fence shall be installed prior to commencement of clearing work on site. The fertilization of vegetation should be limited to 15% on site. The screening of the HVAC systems. Installation of dusk to dawn lighting fixtures shall be prohibited. All lighting shall be shielded. And 3A and B are general, the affidavits, accept copies. 4A, this is prior to CO, is the amendment for the covenant for the 50%. The future cross-access easement agreements to the north and south with the title cert, mortgage consent, and town attorney approval, legal documents, and the 2-year maintenance bond for the landscaping.
Was there any discussion or recommendations from anybody about a fence on the top of that wall on the back, on the
Yes.
west end? So that's included in it?
That's part of the town engineer
Okay.
comments, but I can say that if you want to
Yeah,
be
because
spelled
that's
right back
included.
up.
There's like a 5-foot drop off from the side.
That's a big one, yeah. So, including the fence on the top of the wall, of the retaining wall, okay.
Thank you.
Good catch. So for your,
Any comments from the applicant here?
any comments? Okay.
Any more comments? Okay. So a motion to adopt, please. Motion by George, second by Craig, all in favor? Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor. Seahorse Stables, Claire Sahai LLC, 4 Whispering Fields Court.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, John. Claire, this is your map for that.
Jackie, I'll give the original to you. It's the nice crane crest, crane
Oh,
bar
it is
station.
lovely. There's no
Everybody else
raised,
gets
no
it.
raised seal?
Everybody else gets it. It's very nice.
Is it scented?
What? It's high rag. So we say, whatever the hell that is.
Right, let's have, no, you can see from the watermark if it's raised content, John. This is not.
Okay.
Poking fun of myself one day.
I did a little color. John, is this right?
Come on up, Brent.
Hopefully I got this right. These are what's proposed, and the orange is what's like existing, you're just legalizing?
We're asking for them to be reapproved.
Reapproved.
They were reapproved, and the owner at the time thought all he had to do was get the site plan approval, but he never got a building permit.
Oh, okay.
So we're back here to get them reapproved.
I got a little
Those
color coding for you.
Yeah, but those little rectangular structures to the north of the main indoor, yeah, we're here just to reapprove them.
So we just reapproved the whole site plan, right?
Well, the indoor
Oh, that's closed out.
and the
Can we start,
stable,
let's start
that's
from the
all.
top.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was trying to respond to Dennis, I apologize.
I sent this to you, you have it, right? The approval?
I have that one. I didn't have this one.
What do you got? No.
Did you distribute it to us,
Do
Claire?
the staff report?
I have a staff
I'm giving it to you right
Okay.
this second.
Okay.
Oh,
This is the staff report. Oh, you got it.
I have this. I just didn't have this.
oh, that's the correct one.
Here, there's the staff report.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, Claire?
Yeah, I just want to pull up their aerial here. So I distributed the staff report at the last meeting.
Claire, is the one that you gave us any different from the Jan 25 one?
No, not much.
Okay.
The only thing is that we did receive
From
comments
Fire marshal.
from the Egg Advisory Committee in the meantime, and they had no issues. So
Okay.
I actually
Thank
referenced
you.
that
Oh,
on
yeah,
page
yeah.
3.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So I'll go through the staff report and then, quickly, and then we can do the decision if everything's in order for you. As I think John passed out, the fire marshal was recommending, the inclusion of a fire hydrant in this area, but the water is not located adjacent to this site at all. Public water is not adjacent, so it would be quite the cost
How far
to
away
have
is
it. It is, it's located closest down here on the head of the ponds.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll turn it on if you want. Do you want me to turn it on as a layer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fire district, if I can interject only because it's to the point, the fire district, usually I sit up a little bit more straight when the fire district wants an extension, but they
See.
didn't want one.
They didn't want
Yeah.
If you can see, it's that blue line
John,
here.
tell us your name for the record.
Oh, I'm so sorry, John Bennett for the applicant, and Brant Reiner is from Nelson Pope.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
The blue line here, so that's at the corner of Head of Pond, so it's quite the
Quite a
distance.
distance.
There is a fire, I actually mentioned in the staff report that there is a fire cistern on the road, pretty close to the property.
Can you
So we-
turn that on too? Don't you have that layer in GIS?
They do not show fire cisterns, they only
Oh,
show
the
fire
hydrant.
hydrants.
Okay.
What I did is I went to the original subdivision, and
Right.
the location of that is approximately here
Yeah.
on the property.
They've been doing some aggressive water main extensions in that whole area, edge of woods.
I was surprised, to be honest with you, that it hadn't been extended.
Yeah, I would imagine within the next year or two, probably get to see the water main.
Yeah, they just put at the edge of woods in recently.
Edge of woods, yeah.
I was surprised.
And
that
they
it
did a
wasn't
horrible
extended.
paving job.
Yes, on Lumber Lane too.
Oh, yeah, that,
Oh, but that was electric.
yeah.
Well, that's not what they're asking
And
for,
do
they're
they
asking
need
for fire.
extension? Do they add fire?
What's that?
When they do mean
Well, then you'd have to
extension, do
install a
they
hydrant,
add,
and that costs.
hydrant?
They, oh yeah, every 1,000 feet they're popping them.
Is it-
So since we don't have an action deadline till the 22nd of February, could we just refer it back to
I'm not here.
Bridgehampton?
Bridgehampton has spoken.
I'm not here.
Bridgehampton spoke.
Right, so
District
they're,
spoke.
the fire district spoke and the fire marshal spoke, and their comments are contrasting, and
Well, I
so
would
we
just have you
could
ignore,
just ask
as
them
you've done in the
again.
past, ignore the fire marshal and do with the fire district, which is one, as I said, where I sit up and take notice, where the fire district wants it. This is just a throw-in from the,
John,
I'm sorry.
How does the hydrant, if you were to put the hydrant on the property, is the expense that you have to get to the water main at that street?
The water main is 1,600, how far away
I'm
is
just
it?
asking a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't even, for a two-lot subdivision, you
Christine,
wouldn't
pull
even
the mic
require that.
around, please.
Sorry, so I
That
was
would-
just asking, if they do bring the water up, as Dennis is saying, would you agree that at that point they would hook into that?
They pop them in as a
Every
matter
1,000
of
feet.
course, every, what?
Every 1,000 feet they throw
750
them in,
feet
yeah.
anyway, so why should I pay for something that the board, that's gonna be a part of a public work?
The hydrants are popped in every?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
as a
All
matter
right.
of routine,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 750, it's 1,000.
1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's gonna take care of itself
Okay.
if the main is extended,
Yeah,
which
you'll see a
I-
water main there
Yeah.
the next couple of years. They're going gangbusters.
Another point to be made is that there are no improvements or any other buildings that are being built that were not already approved as part of the 2006 site plan approval.
Right.
Well, that was the thrust of my letter, actually. It would be
Yeah, so-
inconsistent to require something like that.
So when the site plan was approved, these buildings were all approved in 2006, there was a recognition that that fire well existed, and that there would be appropriate fire suppression based upon that. So those conditions have not changed.
So that's what I'm saying, is like, you have a good point. Let Bridgehampton Fire District say, yes, that's why we said no comment, and then our bases are covered and, you know.
They did that.
Yeah.
They did that.
If they use the word recommendation, that's the fire marshal, and and when they say requirements, that's when we have to listen. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes
that's the way I understand it.
Okay, and that's your wording, Claire, from here? Your report?
Well,
Well, the fire district says the board has no recommendations or
Right.
requests from the,
Of the planning board.
that's what the fire district says. And to be very frank with all of you, I stand up and pay quite a bit more attention when it comes from the fire district.
District, not the.
Sure, they're on the
Yeah,
ground.
'cause they're on the ground, yeah. But I think it would be not only an inconsistent, but an unreasonable and confiscatory request to, as the fire marshal wants to extend that water, particularly when it's, I mean, I've got an approved site plan, I'm putting in these, I'm asking for reapproval of these 3 small triangular buildings. I've got a open air raised patio. There's no firematics
There's no
change.
residents, there's nobody
No.
living in any of these.
No, there's no firematics change since the original approval. And if it was just maybe putting a fire hydrant in an existing main, but I'm not gonna, I think
Several
you've
thousand
approved,
feet.
I think you've
Several thousand.
approved, you know, 4-lot subdivisions and not even maybe bring water in like that sometime. That's a long run.
It is.
I mean, hope would be that it's gonna fix itself, though.
One
It
would
is.
hope.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Claire, you want to go over the report?
So it's a site plan application for two storage sheds, a therapy shed, a quarantine
Claire?
barn.
No, you're not on the mic.
Now you pull the mic around.
My turn.
Good catch.
So the application, the site plan is for 2 storage sheds, a therapy shed, a quarantine barn, a raised terrace, pergola, sand paddock, and alterations to the existing outdoor riding ring associated with an existing house farm, 4 West Greenfields Court, on a 12.7 acre parcel in Waterville. The applicant does not request an increase in the number of horses, which is 17. And it's shown on the site plans prepared by Squires and Holden. So I just restate the horse farm use that was originally approved in 2006, and a CO was issued in April 2010. There was a modification back in 2014 to permit 3 buildings, 2 for storage and 1 to be used as a temporary stable, whose primary purpose is to quarantine horses and to increase the number of horses from 16 to 17 at the time. So those are being reapproved. It is a type 2 action. It is in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and the Agricultural Overlay District. So this use is consistent with the Agricultural Overlay District. And it's in the aquifer, and the existing active agricultural use in the project, the natural habitat currently present on site contains no natural vegetation. Therefore, there's no adverse effects on the POD district. Public hearing on January 11th, 2024. Planning board closed the hearing with a 10-day written comment period. No comments were received during the hearing nor during the comment period. So I'm referencing the referrals, which are attached. So first is the fire marshal. Proposed work shall not impede emergency vehicle access to the property or equipment. Recommend the installation of key boxes on the property. You have no problem with that condition, right? And the Bridgehampton Fire District subscribes to Knoxbox Company. Recommend the installation of fire hydrants and fire service mains. The nearest fire hydrant is an accessory to 800 feet from the main building on the property. Additional fire and life safety concerns will be addressed during the formal building plan reviews. Site plan review only. So the town engineer did not recommend completeness. However, just wanted the details on the proposed patio and pergola, so that'll have to be addressed before signature of the plans. The fire district, December 18th, said they had no recommendations or requests for the planning board. On the ARB, in their minutes, it's at the bottom of the page. They described the application, and they recommended approval as submitted, and the board agreed and had no comments. So those are the comments. Oh, and the other thing is back in my Staff reports. We received, since the last version of this from the 25th, the Agriculture Advisory Committee did meet on December 12th. It had no issue with any of the existing or proposed improvements on the site. So basically, it's the site plan review standards. There's very little change happening on the property. So there's no change in A, B, C, D. It complies with the comprehensive plan updates. Natural features, the natural agricultural soils will continue on site with the proposal. No other identified natural features are located on sites. The site is not located in agricultural sensitive area. Pavements. So the project proposes to legalize the existing two-story storage sheds, a therapy shed, a quarantine barn, sand paddock, and alterations to the existing outdoor riding ring. Proposed construction is a raised terrace and a pergola adjacent to the sand paddock. The engineered plans will be reviewed and approved by the town engineer. No changes to lighting. ARB has indicated their approval. Town engineer requirements shall be addressed prior to signature of the plans. Public utilities, no change. No public address system or sound system shall be permitted. Conditional approval. Have to make sure I put that on there. No change to handicap spaces. And then energy conservation, I put your typical language that you've been doing at the last, including the reference to the climate action plan. And then there's no opportunity for cross-access, see facades for architecture, and the agricultural overlay district, the standards met. So I just mentioned, I just speak about the hydrants at the end, the recommendation. And just note that the fire well was installed on Whispering Fields Court.
Okay. Any more questions, Sean? Is
Well,
that it?
just you're removing on 1A, obviously the knock boxes are fine, that's just a key, right? So you can see.
Yeah.
it's a key.
But you're gonna remove the fire hydrants, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. Thank you for doing this quickly. Fran, am I missing anything?
No.
I don't want you to yell at me after. You forgot to talk
You
about.
take all the fun out of it, though.
Any questions from the board? Okay, motion to accept by Dennis,
Can I
second by.
add, sorry, can I add that
Sure.
condition I forgot, which is the no address, sound system?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that.
Yeah.
It's pretty typical. Thank you.
So motion by Dennis, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor.
Thank you all.
You want your original back?
No.
Keep it?
Okay, keep it.
Original signature
She's
from John
not
Bennett.
right, she'll keep it. One day, it'll be on eBay.
I should be so lucky. My grandchildren should be so lucky.
Exactly, right. Okay. Claire, are you done?
No, I'm gonna go right your Lewis Road, I'll be back.
Okay. So we have Anthony. Number 6, 204 Butter. 204 Butter Lane, Bridgehampton.
There is a copy of the report and the resolution in that.
Okay. Did we run out of staples?
What's that?
I said, oh, I guess it's some, you've got a paper clip
Yep.
at staple.
Let me just pull up one thing here.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You have me.
There, go back to the page. Okay. So the board might recall, we looked at this. This is on Butter Lane. It's an existing building. It's just north there of the railroad tracks. Further to the north, we're looking at a site plan on the Farrell property, just for reference here, tradesman's path adjacent. The site's currently improved with existing structures and gravel parking, landscaping. It's LI 40 zoned. This application was for a change of use, a special exception to allow a physical fitness facility in that zone, which is a special exception, subject to the general standards and a few specific standards. So it's really just a change of use. They're gonna upgrade the parking a little bit. Looks like there might be a couple of doors that are being replaced on the building, but beyond that, not much going on here. Some of the board members have been to the site. So if you look at the report that I have, might as well just go to page 2. We did do a pre-submission on this, by the way, so all that was covered. This is an unlisted action. The planning board did neg deck on this back in March. Hold on. I am actually looking at the wrong one. Sorry about that. It is an unlisted action. This is one, the zoning board. Did you looking at the wrong? Which did I hand out?
204 Butter.
Okay, I was looking at the wrong one on my desk. Okay. The seeker was unlisted. This is a case where the zoning board did the neg deck. It was just a change of use, so we didn't have to really coordinate. We did have a public hearing. I mean, we had a public hearing at the ZBA, but you waived one here with a 30-day. I gotta fix that spelling. And no comments were received. We did our referrals. Fire prevention came back, gave pretty typical comments as they require, and they do note that the gravel driveway north of the building shall be designated as a fire zone. And that's pretty typical. Again, key boxes, all this information. They will be re-referred this at the time of a building permit to make sure all the floor plans and exit signs and such are consistent. Then we have public water and hydrants in the area. Town engineer provided comments. He gave a checklist, which I will attach to this. It was just a checklist with a few technical items that were needed, which I forgot to add in here. And then a couple more comments regarding the concrete aprons and the roof leaders. And beyond that, it was pretty minor. The Bridgehampton Fire District provided comments and said there are no additional firefighting recommendations at this time. If you look at the site, there's a lot of information in here, more than we normally would look at for a change of use, but it's a special exception. So the site plan standards, traffic access, these are existing access driveways, and with the parking being formalized, I think that's a good site plan for the site. Same thing with the interior circulation and parking, and this was one where the applicant provided the applicant with a parking analysis, because the business model here, if you recall, was a largely appointment only with staggered appointments and sessions, indicating that the parking demand would be roughly 14 spaces at its peak. And so that's what we use as a basis for this. And incidentally, this was also the basis for the zoning board's decision. They granted the parking relief here, so they've imposed a condition that any changes,
They have to come back to us.
they would have to come back. So, and we're gonna get to that
Yeah.
when we get there. On page 4, landscaping and screening, just to give the board a sense here, you can take a look up here. In the resolution, I blocked it out. We got, like I said, there's gravel, there's some landscaping, some nice street trees here. There wasn't any additional landscaping proposed as part of this plan, but I just noted it in there if anybody wanted any.
It's nicely landscaped.
Yeah, it's very nicely landscaped. It gives nice views of the building. It's not overdone. Existing development in the master plan. Again, this is a special exception project, so it's subject to the special exception standards, for which the applicant submitted the necessary petition, and we're able to go through those standards. E talks about natural features. Really nothing on this property on or adjacent to. It's a fully developed industrial area. Cultural features. It is located in the New York archaeological sensitive area, but there's no new development at the developed site, so really nothing historic on either side.
The building was there.
Building was there, and they're repurposing it, which is nice. That's always good. Pavement on G, if we go there, it just says address the town engineer's comments. There's, again, existing conditions there. Facades, the elevations are being maintained. Again, just some replacement of some windows, but beyond that, the building stays the same. Drainage, again, address any town engineer comments as may be needed. Public utilities, public water serves the site, and I believe an upgraded septic system is being proposed for the site, so that'll be an IA system as well.
Anthony, I see the town engineer talks about paving. I don't see drainage, but there must be drainage on the property.
Yes, well, there's, you're looking at the site plan that I had on
I'm
the...
looking at this and I'm reading your review where he talks about it being paved and striped. Which is one, and he would normally mention drainage if there was any concern there, but.
Yes.
For paving everything, but I just don't happen to see any drainage in the street view, so I assume there's drainage there.
Yeah, I mean, Tom will normally point out when there's an issue and then what has to be done on
Right.
or within the right, to address it,
But
so.
leaving it out means it's not a problem.
I'm gonna make that assumption because
Okay.
Tom, has done the review.
But I also, I flagged that as well, Tom. Why does it have to be paved? I mean,
It doesn't have to be. Tom is actually asking that it remain gravel, correct?
It's not what he says.
Come on up, Carl.
You have mentioned that, Carl, I thought.
I haven't
It
seen his
says,
full comments.
the town engineer, asphalt or concrete aprons to be provided, parking lot shall be paved and striped.
He said paved.
Yeah, paved, yeah, sorry.
But there's no need to pave it. I mean, this is pervious, the gravel works
Yeah,
perfectly,
they can use curb stops,
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, the
We have
gravel
no
looks
problem.
nice in this
This is
particular
far,
setting.
far
so.
better than paving.
You'd rather the gravel?
Yeah, it's pervious, it
How do you
percolates.
mark parking?
I think with curb
With
stops.
curb
Curb
stops.
stops?
The curb stops, I think with
Yeah.
ADA, you just have to do whatever you have to do with
Yeah.
ADA.
With the asphalt walkway to the front
Sure.
entrance.
And then signage,
Right.
the little,
I don't have any
Okay.
issues with
I
that.
mean, that's environmentally better than
Not
paving
than
more.
paving it, right.
yeah, believe it or not, this area is still APOD.
Is that a
Yeah,
post and
and-
fence in front of it?
Even
It
if it's
is.
not.
It is. I know, even if it's not.
What's that,
But these have been clear cut for
What's the fence?
centuries.
this?
It's ironic, I can't.
That looks
believe
like,
it.
Why bother?
almost like a
Right-
vineyard
right through the
feature.
front of
Oh,
the
okay.
Yeah,
Bridgehampton.
it's a landscaping feature to make it look a
It
vineyard.
was a private wine facility.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Privately owned, and he had a vineyard in there.
Yeah, it's actually sort of nice. All right, well, that's good. I would agree with the board in this case. Well, why change something when it's working? Pretty good. Again, the physical, where am I? Public address sound system, there won't be any here. Physically challenged access, it's shown on the site plan prepared by KPC Planning, and so that will have to be included. Energy conservation, again, well, in this case, I think we could note that the preference would be for a gravel parking lot to sort of help with the
Drainage,
drainage and everything else
Yeah.
as a form of green infrastructure, and, so
exactly.
I'll note that in there. I think that's
And
good.
Anthony, when you have this great little thing that we're putting in all about green stuff, reference the CAP as well now, Climate Action Plan.
Yeah,
That's part of the master plan now, so it just adds gravitas to the suggestion.
100%. O talks about joint construction or shared improvements, which is not applicable in this case. Architecture, there are no changes, and it's not within the ag overlay district. With respect to the special exception standards, again, A talks about the use being consistent with the intent of this chapter. Again, it's a special exception use subject to the criteria, which I believe it meets. The plot area is sufficient, although it's non-conforming in terms of the lot size of 40,000 square feet. I think it's just shy. It's, almost 40,000. Again, it's an existing condition, and with the limitations on the business through appointments, I think addresses the concerns as it relates to, any potential parking and such. C, the proposed, I think this use, unlike a lot of other industrial uses, is probably pretty low in the intensity level, so I don't anticipate any impacts on adjacent properties. The site is particularly suitable. Again, it is subject to the standards, which we're reviewing. It's not near a church, school, or theater or recreation area. F talks about the general acceptance and definitions of such a use. In this particular case, the town code does actually have a definition for physical fitness facility, which I lay out there.
Can I just, it's not that far away from school. some
Oh.
hay ground up there. So
Okay.
what's the distance?
It's less than 500 feet, we know that. We did a 500-foot analysis, I don't have it with me. We actually did it for
Then Anthony
the
should
parking
include.
variance.
Yep,
Include
okay, so
that.
then I'll take note of it.
You should have it somewhere in the record, so you can just reference it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what we could say in that case then, Jackie, and thank you for bringing it up, although located within 500 feet, we would note that it is further to the south and is separated from this use by other uses that already exist,
Yeah,
and this will be
that
less
That
intense.
industrial park.
So yes, I will absolutely add that. That makes sense. Access facilities, again, these are existing facilities, and will be adequate for this particular use. Curb cuts, again, are existing, and there's no new curb cuts being proposed. I talks about parking, so this is where they did get the parking relief from the zoning board, where 36 is required, and they're providing 18, while their parking demand analysis showed roughly 14 being needed at any one point. So, again, the monitored customer check-in, advanced reservations for group fitness and personal training sessions, and the spaced-out classes were designed to address this, and they were imposed as a condition of the zoning board, and we'll impose them as a condition here as well. Kate talks about disposal of runoff. Again, we'll note here about maintaining the gravel and the upgraded septic system as well, because I think that's important. L, there will be no outdoor sales lot or equipment permitted. M talks about recognition of any further conditions, which we do acknowledge exist, and we're going to go through them next. So then, there are special standards as it pertains to physical fitness facilities. I won't purport to fully understand what A actually means. If I may just read it, it says, industrial use activities, if consistent with good industrial practices and established prior to the surrounding non-industrial activities, are deemed reasonable and shall not be considered a nuisance or an interference with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property unless the activity has a substantial adverse effect on the public health and safety, and provided that such activities are not being conducted in violation of any other provision of the town code.
Makes
It
perfect
doesn't say
sense to
any-
me.
It doesn't mention physical fitness facility in there or anything, so it's sort of a very general, vague statement.
When were these special standards?
Not too
written?
long ago.
Not too long ago.
Again, we'll note that in this particular case, this is a non-nuisance use.
Yeah.
It's not really an industrial use, and it
No.
is subject to the limitations imposed
I
by
could
the
almost
applicant.
argue that they're saying you should only have industrial because everything else around it is industrial.
Yeah,
So
it-
and we need that in town.
Yeah. It's, so it's weirdly written, but in any case, we do note that we wouldn't anticipate any negative impacts on the adjacent properties. B talks about traffic patterns and pedestrian circulation. Again, given the customer check and advanced reservations and the spaced out classes, the traffic patterns and pedestrian circulation won't be negatively impacted or interrupted by the proposed development. And again, the applicant shall demonstrate that the proposed physical fitness facility can accommodate the parking requirements and traffic. This is one, A, they did get the relief from the zoning board, but B, they also did provide us with a parking analysis demonstrating what their demand would be. So I think with that, I was pretty comfortable with the project. So then the second document you have there is actually a draft resolution of approval. We could just go to page 2 and start going through them. So I'm recommending conditional approval, subject to the following: changes to the site plan, the requirements of the town engineer. I want to say is maybe applicable.
Where are you now, Anthony?
On the
Page two.
resolution.
Resolution, page 2.
Page 2.
of the resolution.
I want to say as may be applicable, and I also want to note the gravel parking lot shall
Yeah.
remain. Okay. Per the Department of Fire Prevention, my guess is they'll have to put up some type of, fire zone sign or something like that. C, show the 18 parking spaces being provided along with the parking calculations and no
That's gotta
relief
be,
granted.
yeah.
Yeah, what I did notice, actually, your site plan, you had the one prepared by KPC, and then the one prepared by the Rayner Group. I'm not sure who did it, but just make sure they're consistent, that's all. Dumpster with screening isn't shown on the plan. I'm presuming that they're going to need one. Again, the board didn't think that there was any additional landscaping, so we don't have to worry about that. Lighting, you're not proposing any additional lighting, Carl, with this application?
No,
Okay.
just what's there now.
I did put in there inclusion of sustainable design elements such as electric car charging stations, solar panels to the maximum extent practical. We'll say solar panels might not be a bad idea. Changes to the elevations and floor plans. Final plans for signature should be stamped and sealed. We don't need plantings in front of the buildings. It says review and approval by the Architectural Review Board. Again, this was just window changes, door changes. So I don't think it actually went there because they were in kind in place.
I don't think they need it.
So I didn't.
The building's nice.
Yeah. General conditions, A, all HVAC systems shall be screened. B, talks about the installation of dusk to dawn lighting fixtures, which is prohibited. C, all lighting shall be shielded and directed downward. D, no public address or sound system shall be permitted. All signage to be reviewed by the planning board. F talks about the pre-construction meeting with the engineer. Those are general conditions. Then 4, I just have in here a general statement, covenant regarding changes to the business model that would warrant further review to address additional parking. I don't know that a covenant, we don't typically do covenants on site plans.
It's a condition of the variance, and I would assume a condition of this
It
approval.
would be a condition of approval. I think Christine did say something, we've been having you sign something, but I don't know.
We're happy to do that.
Okay.
It's the applicant doesn't own the building, so that becomes a bit difficult.
Okay,
filing of a
so I
covenant.
think we should note, as required by the ZBA, a condition of this approval will note that any changes to the appointment-only business model, would require further review from planning to address parking, and I think that would be okay. B is the engineering fee to be determined. C is the notarized affidavit, and D is the 6 sets of complete plans. We don't need to worry about number 5, we're not doing any additional landscaping.
Anthony, do we need to add any language about outdoor use of the facility? Otherwise, we're dragging out some exercise equipment and.
On a nice sunny day.
They have a deck out back that's covered where they exercise only in summer.
Okay. Is there outdoor exercise classes or?
There's some
Yeah,
equipment.
come up. You wanna
Come
come
up.
This is Danielle from Equinox.
Jeff, we met.
Yes, we did.
Nice to see you again.
I don't think I put myself on the record. Carl Benicasso, 860 Montauk Highway for the applicant.
I'm Danielle Larson with Equinox. Yes, there is some outdoor equipment in the back of the building that's turfed for, just utilizing, the battle ropes, or there's some decking that people go out and just do some functional movement. So it's limited.
So maybe we would put in there, because it should show on the plan, artificial turf deck on the side of the building, that any outdoor use of equipment and or classes shall be limited to that area shown on the site plan.
Yep.
If that makes the board comfortable.
That's good.
Sound
What-
system?
what's it-
No sound
No
system.
sound.
Yeah, it says,
No
it says
sound
thing on
system.
no PA.
Okay.
What's adjacent to that building?
It's all industrial.
It's the industrial park right behind it and across the street as
There's a
well.
moving
Yeah.
company.
Oh, yeah, looks like we have some special train
Industrial,
or
then there's the
storage.
pool company and
Until the next
telemark
pandemic
across
goes.
the street, the train station.
Soul Cycle.
We're the least noxious element around.
Remember Soul Cycle?
That's
Carl?
fair.
During the pandemic?
Did I ever know?
No, I mean,
The one on-
the whole Soul Cycle.
Oh, when they were on the
Mon-
tent?
on
Yeah.
Montauk
Yeah.
Highway.
Yeah, yes.
They-
The least
Yeah,
not,
that's-
depending on
that's your
how
other
hard
op-
you work out.
That's your other application, diagonally across.
So the equipment outside.
Yes, that is my,
Is that
has
gonna
nothing
be
to do with
used-
this application.
We've been talking about
Noise
14
and-
spaces and training by appointments or whatever. Is the equipment outside in addition to, because a couple of years ago, and I think it was probably operated by, a different manner, but there was a lot of concern about parking. There were lots of cars there, there were big classes. I know everything I've heard is that this is gonna be controlled and they're only gonna need 14 spaces.
Mm-hmm.
How much additional stuff is outside, and is that in addition to the the appointments that you're gonna be making? In other words, are we gonna have big classes
No,
there?
it's no, the classes are, it's really just small group classes on that like deck outside. And then mostly it's a training model. So it's the personal trainers that are going out and utilizing that equipment on the back turf.
Okay, okay.
When they do the outside though, there's no amplified music?
No.
No.
Okay, but we have something in there
And we
that
have
says
that
no
in there,
outdoor.
that's, that
That we
Yeah,
do have
I mean, I was
conditions.
thinking about music, and I was also thinking about lights, you know, early or late, but if there's nothing, there's nobody living nearby, that's less of an issue. It's not an issue.
As Carl said, it's the most benign use in the
Yeah.
area,
Right.
and it's
You know.
attractive.
Thank you.
It looks nice.
It does.
Keeping people healthy.
Good-looking people going in and out.
Which means obviously some of us will be able to go.
I invite you all to come.
Okay.
Anthony, one last, on the gravel driveway, just to go back, I think
Mhm.
Dennis had made a point. The reference to the gravel driveway, do we have to put something about consistent with ADA requirements
Consistent with ADA requirements, particularly because of the ADA parking.
and pedestrian access?
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll get, and subject to final review by the engineer, of course, obviously, because he's ultimately got to sign off on everything before we stamp the plan, so, yeah, we can do that.
And then we'll indicate the no parking fire zone with
Yeah.
signage?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then,
Okay,
yeah, so I would recommend with those changes, the approval.
finished. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to adopt the report.
Motion.
By Gloria, second by Keith. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bring pajamas tonight for this one? This one's gonna be long.
What's on that's gonna be there?
Kevin, I don't know if anyone's here.
It's big time,
on this
big
one,
time.
But they could be on Zoom, but we're gonna go through this
Because
anyway.
they came to the first one.
I wanted to make you feel bad.
Hampton 6?
Report at Reso. Hampton 6, Aurelia, this lady Aurelia might be on.
Did you find out if it's all one piece of property?
That's not the point, I would do the whole thing.
All right, well, we'll see when we go through it, if anybody raises their hand.
This
So,
building is a standalone.
everybody knows this project. We've been looking at it multiple times. The expansion of the Hampton-based market into some
Yeah.
additional space would bring it back, would bring it up to 12,500 square feet. They're going into what was Liggett's, I believe, was there previously. Big thing with this site, ultimately, what we wanted to do was fix this up here a little bit, because it's in, out, all over the place, no connection to the town parking lot. That's trying to make a better traffic circulation situation here. Recently, we did get, and I'll show it to the board. Hampton 6, just bear with me. Here we go. A little bit skewed, but the access that they finalized, so to speak, the access that we proposed, the connection, moves up a little bit further north. It addresses an aisle setback over here, makes the parking better over here. We'll connect in here, and the town is, we're getting a lot more parking over here than what was originally contemplated.
17 spaces.
Well, it's gonna be more than that now.
Now?
Yes.
Oh, good.
You can see there's a lot more than that. They're redoing the whole thing. This access back here gets shut off, which we weren't sure about. We have no control of it, but they've been in discussion, so that's gonna get shut off. The mailboxes are gonna be relocated to work with the new layout and everything,
So where's the exit of the town parking lot now? All
This is
on
gonna go all to
Ponquag?
Ponquag.
Only on Ponquag?
On the Ponquag, and then we are going to, this site's gonna maintain the two-way access onto good ground.
Why did they close off that egress?
Well, that was the plan. One of these was going to ultimately have to be
Dangerous
closed.
situation now.
Can you zoom into
Those
where your
two-
cursor is?
Those two driveways are right next to each other, and when there's a break in the traffic, the post office makes a right, but if it's
Oh, I
six
see.
making left,
They
and
make
it's
a
like,
right.
ah.
Okay, so you do still have the
Squealing
cross
brakes.
access there?
Yes.
Waving fists.
Okay.
You're still gonna get the two-way
So
cross access.
someone could go back out onto Ponquag or go into that new
Yeah.
parking lot
And
and
out to
go
Good
onto
Ground.
Good Ground or go where, okay.
Yep.
Stop it.
You know,
Makes
we want to get people to controlled intersections, you know,
Yeah.
as much as possible. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Is there a right only, out of that lot?
No, they can make a left. There's a divide, if you recall, there is a turning lane, there's a division in that, so you can make the left out of there.
I'm talking about the Ponquag one, because I
Oh,
think
the
it could be a little
Ponquag.
dicey there.
Yeah, I mean, this is not our project here. This is the town's, and right now it is showing both in and out.
They
So
might
you can make a right or
like-
left
they
there.
might
I'd
make
put a
right turn only.
recommendation for
They
that.
might, yeah.
They might, yeah. It would make sense.
Yeah,
Because
times-
there's on-street parking, so you really can't see if you were gonna try to turn
gotcha.
left, and so the better way is to go then to Good Ground, make a left, and then go to the light to come back around, or, go through that other parking lot to
Right.
Montauk Highway.
Put a few more cars on Good Ground, right?
It doesn't go anywhere.
I will certainly convey this to our staff that have been designing all this and working.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It's really great.
Get something out of it.
Enhancement.
So, again, just to remind this board, what's gonna happen is, this will be an entrance only. This is gonna be an exit only, no left turns, if I'm remembering everything the board wanted. And the other side of it is the DOT's already approved. Now, I don't know exactly what other work they're gonna have to do in here, so as a condition of the approval, they could update their site plan to reflect whatever it is the DOT.
But the parking,
the
the lower
DPW.
portion, it's not angled parking, isn't that straight parking?
It will be straight
Will
parking. Yeah, once we get this whole thing cleaned up, and then we'll get some more out of it too, so. Clean it up as much as we can. So if you look at the report, which was the first document, on page 2, this was a unlisted action, back in March, this board did the, SECRA and issued a negative declaration for this project. We did have a public hearing in April and closed with a 30-day. We did get comments, pretty standard comments. The parking is inadequate at times, landscaping, the unsightly loading dock, garbage enclosure, potential future cross-access, all these issues that we've been dealing with on this property. We did referrals, the Office of Fire Prevention came back, and they said existing fire lanes and fire zones remain in place from the previous site plan, so that's good, and it is on there already. On page 3 there, the engineer, no formal memorandum has been received from the engineer, but he most recently sent that revised plan. So we note that they're gonna have to revise the site plan per the town engineer's most recent plan, and then any other comments that may ultimately come in. So that. Town Highway indicated their approval for this project, and the Suffolk County Planning Commission indicated this is a matter for local determination. I grade out there, this is the Public Works. I got the memorandum from them, they've approved the curb cuts, subject to, as they said, whatever they're gonna require as part of their permits. This happens a lot of times in site plans, we try to prevent it, but you get it to the DPW, they give you these statements back, and then when they go to do a building permit, the DPW gives them all the
Changes?
the ADA, apron requirements and all this stuff, and it changes to the, sidewalks in front, for example, all the off-site work. So, we note that in here, and they'll have to show it on the final plan before it gets stamped.
Are they gonna modify the right turn only, or is it just signage? They're just gonna do.
You mean the right turn? I would imagine, well, I mean, we're gonna have to have signage there.
Yeah, but they're not proposing any like radius or the direct?
No, not as far as I know,
Okay.
yeah. So the site plan standards, again, traffic access, I think we've talked about, we're making better access onto and out of the site to the maximum extent that we can. Everybody knows this is, I know, I travel by it every single day during the peak summer. This is a disaster in this area. You can't get through there.
They also had on the original site plan, they were gonna extend a little sidewalk, on that eastern side.
Over here? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, kind of connecting the town lot, to Montauk Highway area, along where Scotto's is.
Yeah. The problem that we have is you need a certain aisle width with the parking for
And
backing
it
up.
cuts into that too much.
And I think it cuts into it a little too much, because we were sort of right, that's why they're also redesigning it down there, and why we shifted everything, is because it got a little
Narrow.
close there, so,
And it's two-way now, right?
yeah. Yeah, well, it's two-way,
Is there
sort of.
sufficient width? Is there sufficient width?
Well, it's not delineated great, you know, so when you're going back there, it's sort of, but yeah, there's plenty of room back there to put two cars through. But it's gonna be, like I said, this is all gonna be relined up. And normally you want, how many feet do you normally want for an aisle width, 24?
24
if you're backing a car into it.
Okay. It was tight in there, so, but let me see, the applicant, they want to beautify the site to the maximum amount that they, can at this point. We do talk about, another walkway, in the front there.
Would they be able to meet their parking requirement if they didn't have
Yes,
any?
two reasons for this. Number one,
Well, if they didn't have any parking along the east side of the property?
there was, the previous site plan for this calculated, and we did this when we did the original review the first time around for the expansion. Did a parking calculation, a site plan for this, had a parking for the entire 18,000 square foot building based on 1 per 200 at the time. And we sort of maintained that because it was part of a site plan approval. Village business, downtown area, ideas to get some municipal parking. However, they will meet the parking requirement because they get credit for the cross access, and because this is going to be a public access easement that goes through the property, they get a credit for that entire area at a calculation of 1 per 300, I think, or something like that. So they meet their parking requirements, taking into account the public access easement and the credit they get for the cross access.
Yeah, because if you eliminated the parking altogether along the east side and put in some kind of like public walkway access from, and, you know, good ground to Montauk Highway, it would open up and beautify the space, you know,
I don't
as
think
well
we
as
could,
making
I don't
it
think we could
safer.
lose all these spaces.
And still meet the.
And still meet the requirement.
Okay, that's what the core question, or
Yeah.
even if you did it on the east side to the south, like from the building south, and so you have that extra aisleway, you know, coming out of the municipal for the in and out. So you have like front of house people parking, because when people park along there, there's not a super safe way to get to the front of the building access.
Yeah.
Do you have the, can you go back to
No,
the municipal
no,
plan?
There's an ugly, is it dry cleaners right next to the, right
Zoom
next
in
to
a bit
that
more.
loading dock. There's one storefront, a dry cleaner. This is-
These arrows were skewed,
You
by
can
the
have
way.
cross-access between the two parking lots there. So now you've theoretically got shared parking.
You have shared
That's
parking,
what's-
yeah.
that's
Right.
what's happening.
There is also street parking underground. I mean, it's, yeah.
And they do have a dimension between the parking line to the building, right, for access of the.
I can't see
That's
that. It's 24 feet.
That's kind of
Yeah,
the minimum.
so that's what I'm saying, is if they could meet their parking requirement or get a variance on improving that aisle and safety, because when people park there, they're getting out of the car, and then now people are gonna be coming there from the public lot. I just think everything south of the building, frontage on the east side of the property, if they can get rid of those parking spaces and just sort of like make it like a walkway buffer kind of area could be.
You're gonna lose a few spots if you wanna go that route, but you could also
Quite a few.
do that angled parking in that area, and still probably get 3 feet walkway in front of the car, but you're gonna lose 1 or 2 spots if you go angled parking.
Yeah.
So
We,
And then-
when we have the two-way, we typically don't do the angle parking.
where do
then.
you see, I don't see the 24 feet, but you would need 40 feet between the building and the property line.
No, that's what I got, 24 feet
I
is
have-
from there to the building, not even to the building, is that
To the walk.
to the
To
wall?
the walk. And then you have your 18 feet for your add-in
So they
parking.
there's a walkway alongside that building?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a way to access the front of the building, you know.
And as I recall, I don't think there's even any curbing on that walkway, it's just like a striped area.
Oh, the walkway is to grade?
Yes,
Oh,
I
wow.
think so.
Maybe it should be raised.
So that's what I'm saying, there's a lot mixing in there,
concrete.
on that southeast portion of the lot.
It's not striped, it's concrete. So
It's
there is a-
concrete,
Yeah, but I think it might be flush with the asphalt.
Yeah.
looks flush.
Because it's one of the stores is a bicycle store.
They just moved out there.
I mean, you
So
could
you
have
see
them-
the dry cleaner right
Yeah, yeah.
next to the white van there.
it also could be treated in such a way with paint or with resurfacing that would make it look more like a pedestrian walkway.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe connect that to the municipal parking lot, the walkway?
With
The walkway cross.
You mean where the
Cross-
cross-access is?
crosswalk.
Right.
Yeah.
Attached crossway.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
people will park in the, I'm sure, because there's parking is an issue, they'll park in the post office lot and go shop.
Yeah.
Yep.
And avoid.
I'm gonna note
actual
that then in
dilemma.
this report, because then when we get to the applicant, we'll,
But striping at least is an indication that that's the path to,
Right.
Yeah, and across the street, you have the park that connects to CPF through Good Ground, so then you're kind of like creating walking ability from the train station, right?
Into Main Street.
Mhm.
all right, that's good. I'm gonna change that in the report. And we'll get it addressed. The next one was about landscaping. We did some new landscaping when we did the last site plan, and actually came out fairly decent. Includes some trees back there, fix this up a little bit. This probably doesn't reflect everything that was in there, but we did do some more over here. Did something in the front here. So what we will say is that any new changes here, the new traffic, like for example, when they make the connection, there's going to be some type of a landscape area there, so that they will have to re-landscape that.
Can we get some street trees, Anthony? Is there opportunity? Either a Montauk or Good Ground or both, maybe?
Let's take a look here.
Oh, it's there.
This is what we have in the front here.
little sticks.
That's Montauk Highway.
That's Montauk Highway, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got one there.
There's one, two.
We got a lonely tree
What
back
about
there.
the back?
Back here, if you can see, there are trees along, here's the parking to that building.
Is that a drawing or is that a real?
No, this is real,
That's the
this is
light bill,
existing.
that's the
That's Good Ground
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
So
That's the dry cleaner.
Oh, so they have some.
so there's some.
we could certainly, if you want to enhance within here, some,
Well, as long as we have enough back there.
that looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually we go for, what, a 60-foot spacing on
Yeah.
the trees?
That looks pretty,
Okay,
not too bad.
okay, yeah.
You want to do the little bushes then, kind of parking?
That might be nice.
Usually
little,
do like
uh,
boxwood.
Box of
Yeah, well, I
bushes,
think,
yeah.
we tried that, I think we said it last time. Helps. So we'll do that with the landscaping. D talks about existing development in the master plan, so as it relates to downtown Hampton Bays, in the 1990 master plan update, and then the 2013 Hampton Bays corridor strategic plan, the whole general idea was to provide alternative access in the downtown district to increase shared parking and to mitigate traffic congestion. I mean, that's the general tenor of the traffic,
And
long-range
this plan
planning.
is trying to do that.
Doing what it can to do its part for this site.
Yeah.
Absent taking the building of the site, tearing it down and starting over, sort of got to work with what we have
Yeah.
there, so.
Yeah.
So you're right. Natural features, not on this site, as you can see, this whole area is developed. Cultural features, again, nothing notable here. G talks about the pavement. Again, this is all existing, so, with the changes to the access over here, the connection, and the realignment of the parking, still a lot of pavement in there, but at least, we could address the traffic impacts. So we'll see what Tom has to say. Lighting, I do note this, lighting is existing. Little history, based on the 1986 site plan, there were 2 pulpit fixtures, and those 2 appear to be the only 2 that are still in there. So we note that. didn't look particularly high or particularly bright or anything, but they are existing. But no new lighting without planning board approval and no, any of the other typical conditions, but they didn't make any changes.
Dawn pictures there?
No, I didn't see any, but we were gonna put in the condition like we always do, that would have to be removed. No building facade changes at this time, maybe at some point in the future.
Are they, excuse me, are those light bulb, all-night lights? They're prohibited, are they not, in our code?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dusk
Because
dawn.
I've seen two now.
Oh, they're out there.
Yeah,
They are out there.
one at a time.
Yeah.
Drainage, again, everything's subject to Tom's review. Most of this is existing, but I think with the changes that they're making, there'll be new drainage structures going into to the satisfaction of our engineer. Utilities, again, this is public water, and any changes to the sanitary system will require health department approval, and it'll be an IA system. No public address or sound system. Handicap spaces are actually shown in the site plan and are in accordance with ADA, but we will always put that condition in there just in case. It talks about, again, the adjoining properties. In this particular case, we're making the connection to the town parking lot. So in this particular case, it's going to make a better relationship between the two sites. There are no architectural changes at this time, and it's not in the ag overlay district. Special exception standards, again, talks about the general intent of this chapter. This is a village zone piece of property. It's in the downtown area. I think a market is probably as good as a village business usage you're going to ask for.
Do you want to reference the Hamlet study here at all,
Sure.
or any?
Yeah, we can mention the 2013 Hampton Bays strategic plan. Absolutely.
Is there any architectural pattern book that's adopted for Hampton Bays?
I don't know if the pattern book.
I think it's adopted.
Okay.
It's part of,
I thought,
Right.
oh, yeah, it was, because of the lawsuit, it's been,
Yeah.
there is none now. But there was something that was proposed.
Right.
So in those instances, any changes to facades have to rely on, well, the planning board's input and the architectural review board at this point.
Right.
But a pattern
I
book
mean, I
that
guess we can-
dictates would be nice.
Well, seeing that it wasn't adopted, but, for other reasons, we could say the planning board makes a recommendation to see the pattern book referenced in that report and consider facade changes to bring that forward.
Yeah, I mean, we
Right?
could
'Cause it would
offer
be
them,
nice
the
to see that
ability.
in this particular, in this case, to update the facade of that building.
Yeah.
Would be nice, along with the parking lot. I mean, it's good for business, too.
No, it absolutely is.
So I would make that suggestion in the report to
I have no
them,
problem doing that.
even though it's not required.
That's okay. Helpful, information for the applicant to consider. Is the site unit suitable for this use? Yes, that was actually approved for A&P back in 1960-something, so that's what was originally there. I don't believe this one is located near a church, school, or theater, but I will double check that one as a matter of fact. But in any case, the site's existing as an existing market use by and large, so I'll double check that. F talks about definitions, generally accepted definitions where, in the code. There are no specific definitions as relates to delicatessens or markets. However, I think that everyone knows the site, everyone knows use. I think that's pretty consistent with the market type use that would be permitted in the village business. And really, just to add there, the issue of making special exception here is not the use, it's the size of the building. So that's what drives the special exception here, yeah. Access facilities are adequate. Access facilities are going to be enhanced as a result of this project with the changes. So I think that's good. We want alternative access to Good Ground Road. Curb cuts to be approved by the Highway Department. That's subject to review and approval by the DPW. We already have their approval, but we're going to incorporate whatever changes they require into this plan. The off-street parking and truck loading spaces. This is again where I talk about the history a little bit. This site was designed with the 1 per 200. I happen to think that's a better parking standard, but that's not what today's code requires. But they get the benefit of
What is
the
it, 1/180?
1 per 180. But in this case, I think in light of the connection with the municipal parking lot and the changes to the site design, I think that, and by the way, with the credit that they get for providing a public access, that the parking demand will have been addressed. Jay talks about adequate buffers, and all the landscape is existing, but we could address some of the aesthetic issues by increasing some of the landscape areas, which we will do. Collection and disposal of stormwater runoff, which will be reviewed by the town engineer. All stormwater runoff must be contained on site. L talks about no sales lots outdoor.
Excuse me, Anthony, is there a dumpster on this property?
There is, it's back here. And actually, they did, the last time around, let's see if it's still there. Yeah, it was there.
Is that shared by all?
No,
the
it's not,
stores?
but proper screening of dumpster.
Where does the site plan show the dumpster?
Let's take a look here. I think right in the back there. Yeah, they show it here, in the same location.
Can you get to it?
Yes. It's right next to the,
It has to be fenced in.
it has to be properly fenced in,
Yeah,
so we're gonna
fenced
do
in.
that.
Because I sure need that.
Yeah, sure.
And then the size of the parking spaces, I know, Tom, you're more of an expert on this, but a larger parking space size would be needed in that parking lot. There's a lot of people that come in with like bigger trucks and vans and things like that.
Right, well, the truck loading area, is kind of its own separate.
No, I mean the
um,
customer
The
base.
regular parking, you have two options, either 9x20 or 10x18.
Oh, and they did the larger, right?
Yeah, I mean,
That's great.
well, there could be a mix in there. A lot of times it depends on how they're trying to configure parking, but those are the 180 square feet, basically,
Yeah,
the parking
Okay.
space.
I think too, maybe what Kate is referring to is that landscapers going in, they now have a truck and like a horse wagon behind them.
Yeah.
So it's like double or triple the length. And even queuing in a gas station, it's problematic. So maybe going forward, we need to look at parking spaces in parking lots and dedicate 2 for extra long spaces.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
I don't
pull
know.
in, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
generally, those folks end up on street parking,
Yeah.
which you can
Right,
pull
yeah.
in and pull out.
But even if you have like an F-250 or something, like, it's gonna be a wider and a longer vehicle than a sedan, right?
Well,
Like-
I personally kind of
Get a
encourage
smaller
people to
truck.
do 10x18, because I
Yeah.
think the width now, a lot of, again, the trucks and a lot of people have pickup
Mhm.
trucks, I think you need that
The
little extra
length.
width, so you're not dinging the doors and the cars next to you.
So it's 10/18 or 10/20?
Or
Yeah, nine-
it's either
9
10x18 or
9x20.
9x20.
Or
So a
9
little
by
longer
20.
and thinner, or a little shorter and wider, and I happen to go for the shorter and wider.
So shorter, wider, but what about these, I mean, we're not even taking them into consideration.
Right,
These, that are like tractor trailers.
right, and that's why I think they generally are just accommodated on
On the
street.
street. I mean, in
Or they
reality,
just
those
take up-
coming in the
they take
parking
Or on
space like
good
that, they
ground
probably
in
can't
this
get
case.
around.
If you,
It's probably
if you
fine.
pull into a space
Or
like
they
that,
go-
you're gonna have to back out of a space like that. So it's really hard to accommodate those kind of vehicles
Yeah.
on a, whether it's angled parking or straight head in parking, it's really hard to
Maybe
accommodate
we
those
can look
kind
at
of
it at
vehicles.
another time and have a discussion about that.
Mhm.
Right, yeah.
Great.
Before I actually even get to a resolution, because I want to see if the applicant is here.
Oh, by Zoom?
Yeah. Kevin, is anybody here for this one? They raising their hands?
What was the name?
Aurelia?
Aurelia.
right?
Aurelia?
No, by that name.
Well, is that, can you see if there's anybody here for this one?
Hampton 6 is the name.
No hands are being raised for it.
Because because we have some things you wanted me to look at,
Yeah.
about the parking and everything.
Is this action deadline?
Well, we would need an extension, they're not even here. I'm a little surprised. Yeah, let me, we could come back to it if we need to.
Okay.
And I'll deal with that.
So no action on this right now?
No, when I come back.
And we would need an extension?
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a ring right now. The next one is Howard Irrevocable Living Trust. That's actually just gonna be an extension until February 22nd, 2024.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Dennis, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor.
And to let the board know, 13 and 14 are off the agenda.
That's 911 Flanders and 1030 and 1088 Noyak Path.
That's correct.
Okay. So, Claire, you're back up?
Let me go to Quick Touch.
Heard something, you wanna look at it?
Yeah.
We're going back to
So
Lewis
it's
Road.
Lewis
Is it
Road.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lewis Road.
Revision?
Revisions, fresh off the press, beautiful paper.
Oh, it is nice paper.
It is.
Very smooth.
Gave us the good stuff.
I know.
Good stuff.
Exactly.
It is kind of nice, though.
So what I did is I added 5, a fifth whereas, and I specifically called out those two areas, and I double checked and I referenced their names. RV 9 and 10 will be revegetated due to invasive species removal, and on the plans themselves actually lists the species, like Japanese knotweed and the other species, they're all right on the plans. And then I just added the condition related to, prior to the issuance of maintenance bond, CO, a maintenance bond will be required, so that was the new 3 on that.
Are the maintenance bonds only 2 years?
It depends on the species, I mean, when we did Parish Art Museum, we did 5.
Yeah, so I think this, because it's such a massive project, we should make it a much longer
We could,
maintenance bond.
we could,
Change it to 5?
we could,
Yep,
yep. It's either run 2 or 5, depending on the scope
right.
of the
I
project.
put 5.
Yeah, if they have a problem, we can always amend this.
Okay, that's
Good with
great.
that.
Thank you for doing this,
Not a
Claire.
problem.
Any other
Make a
questions? Motion by Kate, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor.
And then I guess I'll just continue my things.
So you've got 104 Montauk Highway?
Yes.
And that's just rescheduling a public hearing.
Right, in the last hearing, they had not done the affidavit correctly for the
Oh, right, right,
hearing.
Right.
And so we're just rescheduling this, the next available meeting, which I believe is
3/14,
March now, right?
3/14 according to.
3/14, yeah. That's what I have, yep.
Okay, so we're rescheduling this pre-submission conference to March 14, 2024. Motion by Kate,
Second.
second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor.
And my next one is a new project.
Yes.
It's called Atlantic Hotel. It's on County Road 39. So let me put out the aerial and then I'll give you some plans. The applicant's representative is here too. I'm sure you might have some questions. So it's an existing 64-unit motel with a pool, and some tennis courts, as you can see in the aerial, located on County Road 39. It also has frontage on Shrubland Road, so it has the frontage on both. The proposal, as I understand it, is to demolish the existing buildings and create like little motel units, more like attached cottages on the site, keeping the same number of the units, 64 is what they're going for on the property. So this would be to, my proposal is to set a pre-submission conference, but maybe for March 28th, and possibly have a work session with the applicant on the 14th to get
Perfect.
an understanding of the scope of the project. I just want to show you the plans, so.
This says less rooms, Claire, 53 room.
Yeah, it was like a moving target.
Oh, okay, so.
They came in and asked for 50-something, and then it was 59, and now in the
It's
hallway,
back-
he said 64. So we're going back to what they're
Back to the
proposed.
original. So
Yes,
we would
exactly.
schedule a work session on the 14th and then a pre-submission on the 28th.
Yeah, I have a resolution to schedule the
Yeah.
hearing, but do you want to look
Yeah,
at the plan? Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's more like this
Campus style.
campus style, yeah. They also want to incorporate like a spa on the property, and a restaurant, which is typically is consistent with the uses in the HB zoning district, so.
That's a creative layout.
It is, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The number of
8
buildings,
small buildings with.
I think 12 buildings total on the property.
So the restaurant spa would be a separate building, obviously somewhere.
I see the restaurant here, a lobby, and I think this might be some one-bedroom suites.
Oh, there's a spa over there, the next one over, I think.
And is
Next to
Montauk
this.
Highway at the bottom?
Poolside.
Yes.
North Highway.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, it says spa parking, spa building there.
You know where it
Oh, that's the spa building, okay, yeah.
It's County Road 39.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? We'll schedule the public, the pre-submission conference, but have a work session?
Yeah, we should have a work, it's a big project.
I think so.
Yeah. So this is not in any highway studies,
There are design guidelines, actually,
there are.
for him, for County Road 39. There is, and they're adopted. This
They
one's
are?
adopted.
Oh, great.
So we can use them
Yeah.
for the design. You know, talk about the buffers, of course, which are always important,
Mhm.
but the materials, yeah.
Yeah. So we can go
definitely-
over that in the work session, we can have that.
Yeah, we can definitely have
Yeah.
that.
Okay, that's great.
So when you talk about unit, like, do they take into consideration, like, how many rooms per unit? Like, should we always include conversation about max occupancy is a better word for
Number of
information.
beds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
64 rooms they have.
Yeah, I mean, bedrooms is what defines septic flow.
With motels, I wonder.
Yeah. I
It's
would- I
a
would
while
assume
since
it
I've
has-
looked at this.
They're gonna have to have some sort of a septic system.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, even for the restaurant and the spa, the restaurant itself is gonna increase the septic flow that you wanna have.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's totally new construction, so
Oh.
county's gonna make them do,
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
which is good.
Mhm.
But it also should be as environmentally green. We should have solar roofs, we should have charging stations, we should have geothermal.
You
Um,
writing this down? I like it, this is good.
In
Yeah.
keeping with the cap, we can strongly recommend
Yes.
these things.
Mhm.
Until we get the town to change the zoning code and force people to do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, good question about like what constitutes, well, I know a unit, they're saying 64 motel room, and we could just check the CO, says
Right,
that.
right, yeah.
But how big that is, does that mean more than one bedroom?
And-
I don't know the answer, and
and-
will that happen here, you know?
Yeah,
And
I'm
is there
always
cooking
curious.
facilities? I mean, there's.
Yes,
it's-
that's a good
All right, yeah,
question.
that's another one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking they're probably, it sounds like that's what they're kind of going towards,
Hmm.
but I
And the
don't know.
total population, how many people it will accommodate?
The occupancy, okay. Yeah,
And it has exit onto
Shrubland.
Shrubland
That was my
Road.
question
Yeah.
tonight.
They maintain.
How is that a straight shot from 39 to the Shrubland exit? Because that's been
No,
problematic.
kind of goes around.
Goes around.
it does go
town.
around
Yeah,
now, you have to
around
go
there.
around the building, see, you have to go around that building
No,
to
but
do
the
it.
proposed, it's more like a circular loop before you exit onto Shrubland, there's not a direct. Because a lot of people
Right.
come through Shrubland, come through that building and then turn right onto 34.
They go
Onto-
through that parking
onto
lot.
39, sorry.
Yeah, it would be good to eliminate the County Road 39.
Or make it
If
so
possible.
circuitous that there's no
It
advantage
looks,
to.
But that's big impact then on shrubland. And I
Photograph,
remember
I'll
they
show you
cut
the
off
plan.
that shrubland road.
Yeah.
Remember it was used as
Yeah,
a shortcut?
But it's
Right.
And then
not
they
cut off
stopped it.
anymore.
It's
From
open
7 to
now.
9 a.m.
Mhm.
Cannot use that road.
I
Okay.
think they're cutting it off.
No, I mean,
Well-
there's an exit shown there, but it's not a straight shot where it is
It's
now.
only 10 feet wide.
Oh.
And it's only to the units, and I wonder if it's, I think maybe it's carts?
Can like.
But Dennis is saying that that shrubland is still prohibited 7 to 9 in the
Well,
morning.
No, it's not.
Because
It's
there's,
not? They're
well,
looking
there
at it?
is a no left going east onto Shrubland, you're right.
Yeah.
So what many people do is go a little farther and they go
They
through
cut through.
this parking lot
Oh,
to get
this
to
parking.
Shrubland. They go another couple hundred yards east or
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
and
They
they go
use that
through
as
the
a
parking lot.
shortcut.
And
How
they
interesting.
reverse in the evening, they come through, when it's back up in Shrubland, they come through that space.
Yeah.
Make a right onto
Onto
39 to
39.
head.
But
Because
going
it's stacked
east out of there,
in
that's
the
gonna be a
afternoon, it's
problem.
stacked all the way
Yeah,
'Cause
down to
They're
the
not-
pond.
I remember
I
doing that
don't,
myself.
I might be mistaken, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like they cut off the shrubland access, which,
Yeah, it looks like that's trying to be eliminated almost.
So we are gonna have a work session.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's, so
Save
traffic
all
We have lots of
patterns,
questions.
traffic patterns.
Who is representing this? Now I see.
For the record,
Come on up.
Good afternoon. For the record, Aram Tertunian, First Coastal, West Hampton Beach, New York, on behalf of the applicant. Thank you. Yeah, it's a really exciting site plan, actually. This is a hotel that was first constructed in the 70s, and looking at creating a much more inclusive campus-like setting where people won't have to drive to get to where they want to go, because there's already a spa and a restaurant.
Nice.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Well, you've heard some of our comments.
I wrote them all down.
We'll have more when we have, but a
I
work
wrote that-
session would be helpful for
Yes.
us and for you,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
we'll do that on the
I mean, it
14th.
looks very interesting, so.
Well, we've, our design people have studied the code and your design guidelines, and we've come up with something we think fits.
Good.
Great.
Okay, and there are some design guidelines, as Claire said,
Yes,
for this particular area that we'll pull. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks. So Claire, we have two actions here, one to, well, the schedule.
Just the one,
Just
the
the one, which is
schedule.
to schedule the pre-submission
28th.
hearing for March 28th.
Mhm.
Motion,
Yeah.
motion by Gloria and second by George, all in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
But you have a work
abstentions?
session on the 14th.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was just
That you got.
verbal.
But we don't need to
We're
vote
just,
that.
we're
Okay,
just
no,
talking
that's
about
okay.
it.
Just go on the agenda.
Yeah.
So 7 in favor for pre-submission on the 28th.
And then I have Delandro, that's an extension of the deadline to submission of plans, a 90-day extension, that's until May 15th.
90 days to May 15. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, and second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor.
Jackie, I just spoke to the applicant for Hampton 6.
Yeah,
Happy to do an extension until February 22nd, so we could hammer out some of those parking
okay,
issues.
excellent. So we need a record on, yes.
Yeah,
formal
so we'll do an
extension.
extension of the action deadline until February 22nd.
Okay, so motion by Dennis, second
Second.
by Gloria.
Yep.
All in favor?
Lots of twos in that
Opposed,
state.
exception.
Two,
7
four.
in favor. So let me mark that.
Do it towards the end. You ready?
So it's, where's Anthony go? So it's to what date? To the 22nd?
22nd.
The fifth, 22.
24.
2, 2, 2,
20.
2, 4.
You only need three.
Two,
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 two.
two,
Two,
four.
two. Got it.
It's a plethora of twos.
Got it.
That he's not gonna come in?
He had to leave, he stayed as long as he could.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
That's why I figured I could say what this is.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
This is for Watermill Bridge at 1040 Montauk Highway in Watermill. We're considering the applicant's request for reapproval of the Phase 2 of the already approved site plan special exception until February 10 of 2026. It's for an 11,100 square foot single-story special trade contractor for up to 3 uses. The original application was approved in 2008. And the board has been approving or extending the approval since 2016.
The Watermill Bridge, they're not operational anymore.
It's,
No,
it's
there's
a
a
for rent sign on it.
Mecox Antiques, I think, is there.
Yeah,
Is there
Mecox
another use in
Antiques.
there?
I'm sorry?
There's another use in there now?
I think so, that's
building.
what Joe just said. I didn't know there was, it was
Yeah.
being used for anything else.
Mecox Antiques, yeah.
Yeah.
Mecox Antiques.
I haven't driven by recently, but I remember seeing a for rent sign.
Oh,
No,
there's-
there's a
tenant in there.
There's a tent?
Looks quite nice.
Doesn't change the parking or anything?
Is that, no, wait a minute, is that where the antique place is, or is this the vet place? The
No.
dog?
No, that's not the best.
Oh, did I pull up the wrong?
No, that's Watermill
Yeah.
Bridge, that's it.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, there you are.
That's a bridge.
It's here, this,
Yeah.
it's sort of like a thin red highlight around the property.
So what's happening?
So they're asking, we received a letter last month, and they're asking for another 2-year extension. Joe had to leave, Joe Lombardi from the Rayner Group. But he said that the family's still committed to developing and moving forward with Phase 2. They were in negotiations as late as this past year, but everything's in probate right now, because Jim McLaughlin, he passed away last year. So they're committed to moving forward, they just, I guess, need some more time.
So the area in the back, the undeveloped area is Phase 2.
That's Phase 2, this back here in the connection.
So the action is for a 2-year extension?
2-year extension till February of 2026.
2026. Any questions?
No.
Motion by Kate, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor. Thank you.
So, the next item, I think, because we're skipping it, right, 13, 14 are off. So 15 is Oceanside, number 406. Just to keep you up to speed on this, there was a public hearing back in October 12th, and it was closed with a 30-day written comment period. So I'm bringing it back for extension for 2 reasons. One, to discuss the merits of the application and see how you want to proceed. And secondly, the applicant submitted back in December, which I received in January, a request to the town attorney for some clearing associated with the proposal. And the correct form for that would be you, because they're in the process, the approval process. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And
For test well or? test
no, associated with the subdivision. Clearing associated with the
Associated
with
the
with the old
subdivision.
file map approval, I'm sorry.
He requested of the town attorney's office for clearing, which is,
We haven't approved anything.
no, I
Correct.
know,
That's
so
what we
Claire
have
is
to
saying
sign.
it's not the
Yeah, but
appropriate.
Yeah, they correctly, the town attorney's office gave it to me to then bring it to you.
Okay.
So originally, I was gonna bring this on January 25th, but the applicant couldn't make it, so now we're here for that discussion. So let me pull up this tax map number, so we have that. And basically, just wanna discuss the application, and how you wanna proceed with this application. And the applicant's representative is present, if you have questions for him. That's one of the lots. So basically, the application is to open an old file map, this portion of the old file map, the original portion that constitutes the entire thing. And let me put the layer on so you can see it. Put the zoning on. An old file map. So the entire map extending from the railroad tracks down to Montauk Highway was known as Oceanside. And the portion on the north was opened. It did not include these lots. It was opened in the fact that they had done a subdivision on the property. And some of it was developed on the west side, and the portion to the east was purchased through CPF funds. And with that, the access to the south was extinguished. There is no road access to these lots, whether through old file maps or any other means. So the difference is that the applicant purchased or negotiated with this lot here. It is located, I don't know, I'm sorry, this is so tiny, but I'll zoom in. 25 Peters Lane, there is an easement 30 feet wide to provide access to these 5 lots here.
The 5 lots of,
This lot, and there is a proposal, let me give you a plan, for 4 lots going south here.
But it's 4 lots with the rights on it to build one house.
No.
A total of 5 lots. When you
5
open this
buildable
subdivision, there will be 5 buildable lots.
That conforms to zoning and area.
The main
They
thing is
do.
that it conforms to, if we can meet the wetlands.
I'm sorry, I thought there was only 6 of you, so I thought 3 would be plenty, but this is a big map, so.
Okay, we can share.
Okay.
Big one back here. You don't need the whole thing, just need the area you're looking at. Here we are. There's the 30 foot,
Yeah.
with the access.
So this is his request about the clearing, so I just want to make sure you have that.
So access is off that one property? Off of here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna draw a little sketch. It's not gonna be perfectly 30 feet, but it's approximately,
The letter to the town, to the town attorney.
it's not. I don't think we have enough.
Okay.
so it would be like this, approximately. That would be it. I made it purple.
And theoretically, that homeowner is aware of the easement?
He, in exchange, received this lot here. He now
okay.
owns this lot, according to Joe Gus.
Well, Joe wouldn't lie to us.
So it's my understanding that in the code, section 243.3b1, you cannot develop an old file map without access. Am I correct in that, Claire?
Yeah, so I have, so I took that portion, but we can take it the whole, I can put the whole code up, but I have copies here. I just marked the copy, I think I don't, because I thought there was only 6. So I think I only have 7. But I can pull up the code right here if you want.
Maybe Kristen can make a copy.
We'll see.
Can you make a copy?
I have them.
You have
You
one?
can share one.
Okay, all right,
For now.
thank you. No, we're good. Yours, Claire.
So basically, it says the standards for developing, your standards when you develop an old file map, and to the standards that stick out to me, there's many of them, there's probably 8 or 9 described, is the streets access opening, and then the other one is the environmental considerations.
Can I just read this?
Sure. So I just made that note in the side that there's no street access,
no
that there is
access.
an easement being provided.
But that's not street access.
But wasn't there, how was it?
Well, I was gonna, go.
Didn't the town there was access here through the streets of the town
I
extinguished.
mean, the history of this, as I remember, it was also,
Yep.
when they developed the old file map, they did provide access to these lots, and it was extinguished when the town purchased those lots, but they didn't leave access to these lots.
They
How
did
did that
not.
happen?
What are the dates that we're looking at?
So let me pull that up, because I do have that.
2023.
So the subdivision map was filed in 10. And I can definitely pull that up because it's right here. So let me do that. I think the name was Todaldi, but it may have been something else. So let me just look that up too. So Oakland Farms.
Oakland Farms.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's multiple maps here. Let me close this.
That's the west side, I think.
That is the west side, yeah. That's the north side.
Most of the development on the
There you
west
go,
side,
coming up here, yeah.
And this is it.
That's
Yeah,
the
because
east
the
side.
town bought the east side.
after they was developed.
Can you zoom in on
We
that
opened
portion
those
where there's
lots on
access?
the
So they were
east side.
taking access off Peters Lane anyway, right?
They were taking off access from Peters Lane onto this old file map, yep. Mm-hmm.
And that was 2010.
This is 2010, and so here is where it did touch that north lot, what is known as the fifth lot on that plan. And that was purchased from the town of Southampton.
In 20,
What?
Town purchased that?
Yeah, so for CPF.
They purchased all those lots on that side, right?
But they were
Yep.
lots, they were building lots, right?
There were building lots and and road access, you're right, exactly.
they bought the whole thing.
To
And
both
what
of them.
year?
And these lots were purchased when?
Very
20
shortly afterwards. I mean, here,
27?
actually, let's look accurately at that. So the property record card should show 2011.
Town bottom in 2011.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the subdivision map?
Yep.
Is that still overlaid on there?
Yep, of course.
So the road, and if you, can you zoom in where that road access was gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit?
Sure.
Maybe one more time. Okay, that's good. So the road access at Kathy's Way, was that over a paper road? I'm guessing it was a paper road?
It's Old
That's
Fell Map
a-
Road.
Oh, you mean to the north?
No, right here, where it was coming on to Peters Lane, was that an old file map paper road?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you want me to put an overlay
I'm
on it?
just curious, how that,
Hold on, let me see if I can put an
so it's
overlay
shown
on
there
this.
too.
But this is shown, yeah, hold on. If I look at the
That
historic
looks like what,
maps?
that's look like where Kathy's Way is gonna be.
No, it was a lot.
Oh.
It was lot 20, it was 25. See?
Lilco.
It does say local, yeah.
So you
Surplus
got the
property
road.
from local? I don't know.
Pull out from there.
Yeah.
That's interesting, okay.
Or it could be LIL company.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, did they own it? I don't know.
And that's
So
still.
that looks further up there, Claire. Can you zoom out a little bit more because see?
No, you can see the overlay on it
Yeah.
now.
Right.
It's exactly it.
Where it is?
Like I keep it on it, so I'm keeping it on, and if you zoom
Yeah,
out,
that-
you can
that's
see the
what we were
road,
doing, using
and then
that
you
for-
zoom in, it's the property.
And this is still north of the lots we're talking about.
Correct.
So the town bought them in 2011,
11.
and.
Subdivided in 2010 and purchased in 2011.
Right, but those are incorporated into the lots, I think.
As far as I can tell, his earliest purchase was 2013.
2003, after the town bought all this. But he would have a right to use it as ascending parcels.
Correct.
Yeah. Do we want to look at the environmental issues here, the flooding of Aspetuck Creek?
Yeah, I think that's something important to look at.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can tell.
but I remember way back then, it was in a high flood zone.
It's
Say,
not,
maybe we create the lots directly north of there.
Let me see, I think I can put the FEMA layer.
You have an overlay for FEMA?
I don't think this is in a flood zone. But let's see what FEMA says.
let's see, let's go to the FEMA maps.
FEMA flood zone X.
Does it say
Flood
X?
zone X?
A portion of it. So this is the extent of the lot. These are
This
FEMA
is,
lines.
this is
The
slosh.
building envelope and everything, yes.
Okay, here's some overlay.
That's slosh. So you can see it comes in a little bit and avoids this lot. So I'm gonna take that off, but I'm gonna put on, then I'm gonna put the FEMA layer on. And it's I guess it's this portion here.
But those lines are shown on the plan where the FEMA zone.
Do they show it?
Yeah, they show it as, so there's a portion of it along Aspetop Creek
Yeah.
where there is that flood line, and then above that, it's Zone X, so.
Mhm.
And that's, the lots themselves are 418 feet deep, so probably about a quarter of that is within the flood zone, and then, the envelope and development is certainly well within flood zone X, as proposed on the map.
Mm-hmm, right.
So there are two issues here, access, which the code requires, and the environmental issues.
Claire, do you know what that little kind of gap that runs across there is?
I don't.
Little space?
I
Like,
don't.
divides the,
I think I
the
need to
properties.
look. I think I need to look at the old file maps to see if this was two
Connecting
file
roads?
some
maps.
kind of old access, yeah,
I don't know.
like from the other side of the creek.
Yeah.
So you have to build a bridge?
Kayak.
You would if you wanted.
Right.
Right.
It's not really a.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out. I was interested too,
Yeah.
to see why there's a separation. It's like, what it is basically showing is that this portion isn't the old file map.
Right, like, what is it?
But it's very easy to check the original old file map to see if it lines up, so
Right.
it might just be a line.
Well, I think you did, when you had the old file map and you flashed it off, and we saw the line.
Actually, that's
No?
that's just our old maps. It's not the old filed map.
Okay.
The old file map, well, hold on a second.
Could have been for a bridge in horse and buggy days.
Yeah.
Not now, boy, that creek is rising.
It does, sometimes they have the old file maps in here. You can click on them, but we have them downstairs, so I can take a look at that and
Okay.
see if they have it.
Might they be so paper thin, they'll break when you try to open them?
Looks like a right of way.
It's the book, right? It's the book we have. Okay.
Okay, thanks for the overview, Claire.
That's the
Now-
overview.
Now, Joe, did you, yes, please.
Good afternoon, board members. Must be close to 5 o'clock, it's time for Joe Gazza. I'm an owner, and I have Mr. Nukowitz with me, who's also an owner. We're both involved in this project. I reside at 5 Ogden Lane in Quogue, and been before the planning board now. This is my 55th year. So I've had some experience, a lot with old file maps, which is what we're talking about today. Now, I've been before this board with 3 public hearings already on this old file map. I don't know if everyone wants me to go over just maybe an overview of, from my perspective, what this old map is about. I have something for 5 minutes prepared, if the board.
reviewed it last time. I'm
We
aware
did.
of you.
We're all pretty much aware of it.
All right, okay, because I have the, let's see, I'm gonna show you what the map is, the old file map. I know there's some questions. This is what the old, may I?
Yeah,
come on up. This is what the old file map looks like. It's, it's thousands of little 20 by 100 lots. Of course, we're talking about the southerly portion, which is below the railroad tracks, which is this section right in here. Okay? Now, this old file map, this is the section of it outlined in red. Okay? And it's important to note that this entire old file map is approximately 56 acres of land. And the planning board has already opened and approved 50 acres of this old file map in connection with the Tadaldi application.
Oh, they're where? They just looked at
Well,
that.
I just have a copy with a little color coding, just to bring some perspective to this. The planning board approved 50 acres of the map. Now, the planning board left off 6 acres in the southeast corner of the map, because that wasn't owned by Mr. Tadaldi, and of course he couldn't make an application on property he didn't own. It was actually owned by 5 people. And over the course of the last 11 years, I purchased from those 5 people, and I became the owner of the 6 acres shown in orange of the 56-acre map. So it's not like I'm asking to open up a development section that's never been opened. It was 56-acre map, 50 acres was opened.
It was not open. You treated it like a subdivision.
It was a subdivision.
It was
I
not
remember
a
that
file
way
map.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was old filed map.
It was owned by my property, it was opened as a subdivision, as far as I am aware. Dave would know best, of course, he handled the
I think I
application.
discussed it with Dave, and he said exactly the same thing.
Well, given the sequence of events, it seems like they put it as a subdivision so they could give Mr. Tadaldi the correct price for the property through CPF, right?
Portion of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Tadaldi obtained 33 approved lots from the planning board in his 50 acres. He did 25% preservation of open space to get his map, an old filed map. It was an old filed map. I mean, I have the proof of it here. How Mr. Tadaldi escaped the rules of the planning board, I don't know. I wasn't involved at that time, okay? I do know that to the detriment of the 6 acres southerly portion of the map, Mr. Tadaldi's map eliminated any access to the lots in the air in West Hampton Beach. Cut it off, just disregarded. There were streets on the old filed map that connected into the lots in the development in the West Hampton Beach. Somehow that was eliminated, okay? Now, the planning board did provide in the Tadaldi map an alternate access way for this 6 acres, known as Kathy's Way. And I imagine that was their design to get into this 6 acres. They didn't want to cut it off and leave it landlocked. The planning board wouldn't do that. So they left an access route. Unfortunately, for me, the town, for community preservation, decided to buy these 6 Tadaldi lots, including Kathy's Way. And when they obtained the title to that, that eliminated my access. So I'm back to no access again.
But you didn't own it then,
But you-
Joe.
No, I've owned it since 2013.
Yes,
Yes, but
and that
that-
happened in 2011, so that's what Claire told us. So therefore, you knew that that was sending parcels when you bought it.
No, Let's back up from sending parcels. I have 6 acres of land on an old filed map. That's what I have, okay?
And some are sending and some are receiving.
You can call it what you like, but it's 6 acres of old filed map lots. Now, because I lost my access, first through the actions of the planning board in connection with the Tadaldi map, second, because of the actions of the town board with the acquisition of Tadaldi lots, including the access road that the planning board provided to me, you left me in a box. What did I do? Enter the picture Mr. Nukowitz, who's here with us today, who is the owner of this acre and 1.1 acre parcel on Peters Lane. Okay? Mr. Nukowitz and I negotiated, and he gave me a 30-foot access easement through his property in exchange for a portion, about 3/4 of an acre of my 6 acres of land. We did a trade. That now puts about 5.5 acres, 5.25 acres of my land with access to Peters Lane. So I'm back in the game, so to speak. I now have a 30-foot access easement for all legal purposes. I have 5.5 acres of land on an old filed map that could be used for development or for development rights. It has both uses. I have already taken a portion, almost 2 acres of my 5.5 acres, shown in green, and I have taken the rights off of this. And I've not deeded, but I've given a conservation easement to the town so that they would have connection for property that the town owns to the north and to the south. I want to be flexible, I want to be reasonable. I'm asking for the 4 lots, and I'm preserving, by the surveyor's calculations, 69.7%.
But you can't build there anyway, Joe. It's
well-
almost underwater.
That's not true.
And besides, it violates the code, 293-3B1.
We'll
I
address
mean,
the
you
code.
cannot have access
seems like
to old file maps without access. I mean, how many times?
I have legal access, it's insured by Fidelity Title. And you want to argue over access?
Well, it's not a street system. You have.
It's not.
I have a
Got an
30-foot
easement.
right-of-way to a public
Right,
street.
This indicates a
Yeah.
street system. You don't have that. So
I have
we
a
really
right-of-way.
are- You know, we can't
We
even
can't
consider it.
entertain it, right. It's not part of the code.
I have 4 examples of the planning board's approval of subdivisions on the same type of access. And I submitted them to the board, and Claire has
Old
them.
file map?
No, but
Okay,
parcels,
I will look at them. I will definitely look at them.
you have subdivided land off of right-of-ways. You
I'm
don't,
just reading
We're reading the code.
the code.
well,
That's the job.
I have 4
that I signed up
examples,
for.
okay? I will address that. Okay? However, the 4 lots that I'm proposing, they are way above your floodplain levels. I'm at 18 feet to water. I'm setting, the proposed building envelope is 200 feet from the wetlands. This has already been approved by the New York State DEC and the Town Conservation Board for the line of wetlands, so I can maintain.
It's
the s-
4 years old. It would need to be verified also.
It didn't expire until last month, and
Look, with climate change,
this
Right-
land
right-
has
Right now, high tides.
been high tides.
People, the water, is land underwater this morning at high tide.
Exactly. I agree with you, but not my land. My land is 18 feet above the water table.
We can't even have that conversation because if you don't have a street, we can't even consider all the
Right.
other merits that you're presenting. Is that accurate? That's what I'm
Not accurate,
understanding,
Seems to
what I'm
me.
reading.
The planning board,
It seems like we're gonna talk in circles
I'm
We've
gonna
about
been
different
pass this
talking in
down.
circles
merits.
for days on this.
So
the planning board in 2020, okay? I appeared before this board, this is probably public hearing number 2. You, studying this, you directed me. You says, we want to see a test excavation to find out where the water is, to make sure that you're not in danger. I spent thousands of dollars doing that. I had to go in there with machines and dig it out at your direction, okay? And to find and to prove that I have adequate depth to groundwater. I'm not in a flood, I'm above the flood zone. The flood zone lines are shown on the survey. You can see them, I'm way above those. Well, if the access issue is the only issue, I will address that. But to get past this floodplain issue, it's right on the survey.
well, they're environmentally sensitive pieces. You got the Aspertuck Creek that is critical, and you have climate situations now where you have higher rising levels of creeks and waterways, and so it's, as far as I'm concerned, they're environmental in danger.
Well, I'm a 200-foot setback. I mean,
That's a key thing, can you comply with the wetlands?
I'm complying with it, and I have the authorization, although it just expired, from Town Conservation Board, because I meet the code. This map meets all code requirements, except the access, which we can discuss later, and I'll do more research on.
But that's critical. I mean,
Okay, is that the only issue?
No,
No.
But we have to get past that issue to discuss the other issue.
merits of the.
That's the key to the first
Right.
door.
right,
yes, then the second door is the environmental issues.
right. So Joe, you're hearing concerns here, so you continue to press forward with it. And Claire, I don't know what our action is. I mean,
There's no action
There's
today.
no
I
action.
wanted to hear
There's a
the
request for
board.
clearing.
Can I?
There is, and I
I
think
would
hearing,
propose we deny
it's
that. It's not-
premature.
You can't even consider it.
Yeah, it's premature.
It's a legal issue.
I
Are
think
you
it's a
allowed
legal-
to
yeah.
open, does a 30-foot constitute legal access?
And given the history of this
Weigh in
parcel,
on that right now, but that's certainly
We'll
something
discuss-
perhaps somebody needs to
but I,
interpret first.
but I
Yeah.
think what I'd also like to you to pursue, what I'd also like,
It's not zoning.
what I'd also like some consideration of is, if in fact, at some point in 2010, the town in general considered development of this old file map, so the subdivision versus an old file map, why are we applying a different standard in this case? By saying this must meet old file map standard.
They actually had access.
Sorry?
These lots that they created had real street access.
Right.
I mean, they took a lot, instead of doing an easement from that side, they took a lot and said, you know,
I
that's your
understand,
access.
but-
And if he chooses to
To buy
buy
property.
Mr. Newitz out and take that lot, take down the house and get access, that's a way to do it. That would get past the street system, because you'd be on a street. We don't approve lots that are not fronting on a public road, or, a
Particularly
road.
for
I
old
should
file
say.
map, it's in the code, it's.
For examples, I submitted.
She's gonna-
I did, I'm going to look at them, but to date, I've seen 2 lots, Joe, with an easement. Something, not,
Only 2?
Not
I did
4,
3
not
myself. I did 3 myself. I did Oak Lane and Noyak.
okay, Joe,
That's
I
a
will
road.
look at them, I just don't see it.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
see it.
I submit to the board that I have 5 acres, 5¼ acres, mostly uplands. There is some wetlands, but I can maintain the 200-foot setback. I can preserve that land. I've offered to deed it to the town, but I can't deed it without a subdivision. I need your board's approval for that. So I've covered 2 acres of it with a conservation easement. I'm a balancer. I'm trying to do the right thing. But I have a lot of money invested in this land, and I have 11 years of my life invested in this land, and I bought it from 5 different people over that course of time. And the town has beat this land up. When you beat it up, when you took the access away for Tidaldi,
That was before you bought it.
you took it away from the map.
Yeah.
You
But
took it
not-
away from the
but-
map.
but not- correct.
And you know what the code says? If you read section 243, 3B1, it says, after a public hearing, the board shall, my glasses on here, make an overall development concept plan for the entire old filed map. You did. You left an access route, you had an overall plan, that's what you did. Now, the town, community preservation took that away from me next. I have no control over that. I'm in a box here.
What about the development rights? You're not in a box. Can you use them someplace else?
You know, I know how, I have probably 85% of the development rights in the town of Southampton. Nobody's buying them from me, okay? I know how long I've had them. I've had some for more than 10 years. Ask Mr. Wilcox. He has a sheet now. It's Gaza, 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 Gaza. I have the development rights. I have them in West Hampton. I have them in some off of this property. The ones that I don't have a lot of are in Southampton School District, which we all know is almost impossible to get. Now, if the board wants to allow me to use development rights from here in Southampton, I would consider that. Not the 50% rule.
Sorry.
I think you're
The
talking to the wrong
100%
board
rule.
now.
I'm going off track.
You're talking to the wrong board about that.
Yeah, well,
You know,
you can't.
We don't have that tool.
Right. And I've been down this road already.
Yep.
And the Board of Appeals told me no.
But Joe, you know we're procedural here, and you're asking us to leapfrog, right?
Well, I'm asking for consideration under 243-3B1, where it says you must, not must, but you will go through an old filed
We've got
map.
it right here.
What does this say? What does B1 say? I don't have my
Just what you
code.
said, compatible with the master plan, the article including the street system, grading, surface water drainage, land parcelization. So there's no street system.
I have, a street is broadly defined.
I don't think an easement is a street.
Well,
by
Well, I guess we could argue that point.
Well,
Council?
I'm sorry.
We're not
Is
gonna
it
have-
easement, is
She
it
doesn't give us
easement
the answer whether
a
it's a
street?
street.
But if you have
Yeah,
access,
I'm not gonna wait on that at the moment.
Sure, yeah.
I
So
mean,
that's
It is
a
a
question.
legal interest in property that is giving you access for however long it lasts. I don't know the terms of it, I don't know what can go under that. There's a million questions, and I don't know whether or not we have precedent where we have accepted that as your access point singularly, particularly for a 5-lot. You're asking for 5 lots?
Yes.
Yeah.
The easement has been provided. You have it, the copy, a certified copy from the county clerk. It's for all legal purposes in perpetuity. So it can answer some of those
I
questions
get
right
that.
away
It
for you.
provides access. I don't know if it
Access.
provides sufficient access to account for a streetway system, a street system within a subdivision.
So there's a lot of the question of today, from what I understood from how Claire introduced this, which we all have looked at this many times, is can you start clearing for a non-existent subdivision? The answer is no.
No.
I would propose
Right.
the answer is no.
There's no clearance.
Like, and when you have the answers to some of these other questions, the access, we can consider this again with appropriate access and answer all the other questions.
Well, I did
But I
submit
think for today,
4 examples of where exact scenario.
I will look at it. It's not up for,
Right.
it's not up for an action today.
It
This
is
is
not.
a discussion,
Yeah.
so there's
Okay.
no
It's
delinquency.
okay.
is there an opportunity
Right,
to secure actual fee title to that strip?
I'll have to discuss that with Mr. Nukowitz.
Because that would solve the problem.
That'll be a subdivision.
It would
No,
make
it
his
wouldn't.
lot
No, it wouldn't.
smaller. His lot is
But he's got
40,000
access, he's
square
got
feet.
area on the, toward the wetlands that could be
A
an
swap?
exchange, a
Yeah,
swap.
that could be.
May I introduce Mr. Nukowitz to the board?
You did.
Mr. Nukowitz, come on up. Maybe you should ask him these questions because,
well, I think if
Well,
you
that's
work
not,
on it
that's
with
between
Claire
you and he.
council, then.
It's
Well-
not between the planning board and he.
you raised the question whether he might be amenable
So that
towards.
was a no.
I didn't ask that. I mean, that's between, the negotiation between
I would discuss it
the
with
two
John.
of you.
I'm Mark Newquist.
It's not with the planning board. It's a private negotiation.
Is that the direction of the board? That I
No.
need more than 30 feet of access?
I
No.
don't think we're giving you that direction. I think we're saying, we will look at your 4 examples, Claire will look at that, and our
Claire and I
attorney
will get together.
And
we'll
council
review-
will.
will look
Right.
at,
Joe, are there any other lots in this section that you do not own? I thought I heard mention of 5 lots at one
He's
point.
looking to make 5 lots.
The
Well, I
Don
heard
had.
4 and 5, I think, and I'm just wondering, are
Well,
there?
5,
This-
lot 1 is being given to.
So,
There's 4 I'm proposing and 1 for Mr.
It's still 5
Nukowitz.
lots, yeah.
right, so there would be, in addition to your 4, there's a 5th lot that would also most likely be proposed to be developed.
But Mr. Nukowitz owns the property adjacent to it.
Right.
So
But that's still a developable lot, separate developable lot.
Right.
if we get approval from the
I
planning
understand.
board
Still
under old
proposing.
file map
And I know
regulations.
you can't speak to his intentions, but if there's 5 lots
If
now
you
approved,
approve
they are,
Buildable. If
Yeah.
you're approving, if you approve
Yeah.
5, they are buildable.
right, so
Okay.
you're not,
In your
it's
world.
not just 4, it's 5.
5, right.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've discussed it.
This is good, thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate it. It's not easy, but,
Okay.
It's a difficult one, and I will look into and work with Claire on other actions of the board with subdivision off of easements.
I'm just concerned that we landlocked this property. I don't know how that happened. How did that
Right.
happen? We do abandonments all the time.
Well, I mean, there was
The
access.
CPF just comes and swoops in and landlocks the park.
We didn't landlock it.
Well, you landlocked it with the Dalby. You
It
took
never
a,
actually had access, did it?
Yeah, the road, there was a road
Okay,
that goes
coming
down.
down.
No, you gave them the road. They didn't have a road
I
before
thought that was an
that.
old Five Mile Road.
No, I don't think so. I
No.
think that was the road
It
with,
sounded, well,
Subdivision.
well, Joe said that, they took a lot and made it.
So
as a-
we
Yeah.
established that road as part of the subdivision.
yes, but there, before that, I don't
But-
think there was a
So
road.
in anticipation that this property would be developed.
There was access down that
And
side.
now,
I have
we-
to
then we,
Which is-
then we landlocked it and saying, now we can't, he can't develop it,
He bought it after the map, Dennis.
That's my
You know, he knew what he was buying.
But that's,
That's
I
on the
think
wild
that's-
map, sir.
I think that's, I don't think that's relevant, really.
Yeah,
It's
I don't think
very
either.
relevant. Buyer
Just because you were late to
beware.
the game, what about the 5 people who own the property?
Yeah.
They're the injured party?
you provided me access. You knew it, you knew I needed access. You-
Joe, please,
I think we've said enough.
please.
Thank you,
The horse
thank
that-
you,
Not
and
you,
I,
but I think the access was
we
provided to
will
those
talk,
lots.
and
So
we
they-
will put this back on with some,
With the
focus
report.
on the issue. Great.
Thanks, Gail.
Thank you.
Time, again.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
I'm sorry it's gone wrong in so many years, but we will resolve it.
4:30, I think, which is-
You can go now. You waited for Joe. Come on, Dennis.
Actually, I have
He
to
was
say
so-
did.
5.
He was so involved, I had to remind him
You
it's
did.
4:30.
Claire, do we want to do the secret before we do the town board?
Oh, we could do that. I think it's easy. The premise, secret, sure.
But I can't say till 5.
Yes?
I'm sorry, I've been putting stuff in this pile here. I think.
No, it's fine. No, thank you.
And
Good.
Piles,
and that one,
over here.
Thank you, Claire.
Thanks.
yes, thank you.
You guys are not thinking about food. You know, passing it along.
All right.
Couple of these to get through the rest of the day.
Coffee beans, chocolate covered coffee beans.
Okay.
They're good, they're really good.
That's a jolt.
I'm okay.
Seth, Claire, everybody, let's try to wrap it at 5 so we can get a break and get something to
Yes.
eat. Because I think we're going to have a long session tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Ooh, I think you're last. I think that's your final thing, so maybe a couple comments and then we'll wrap it up.
This is for 495 County Road 39, in Tuckahoe. It's the Serpro location. It's up here. It's that corner, the northeast corner of 39 and McGee Street across from Sunoco and the old potato barn.
Speak up, Fred, we
Oh,
can't
sure.
hear you. But that doesn't magnify.
Oh, it
We
doesn't?
just- You
Okay.
have to speak.
You need to
Project.
Project.
Yes.
My favorite.
Okay. The opposite corner is the old potato barn that they're developing. The planning board received an application to demolish the existing structures and construct an 8,120 square foot commercial building with special trade construction use. And the pre-submission conference was held last January. The report was adopted the following April. And there are several items on there that the applicant did address with the site plan application. The windows were added that the planning board requested, and there were a lot of other items regarding secra and forms and landscaping and lighting. That was all submitted. There were a couple items that were either not addressed or not fully demonstrated. When I was looking at the elevations of the building, it wasn't called out, the height wasn't called out, and it was borderline potentially on the pyramid law envelope. But the applicant says it's in conformity, so they just need to demonstrate that. The parking was not addressed. They're under by a few spaces, but the applicant is willing to provide that, and I've been working with them. And there are a couple other items, the drainage plan and calculations that they'll have to provide. And then the the town engineer will have to make sure we have recommendation of completeness before we go forward. So I think.
So it's incomplete.
It's incomplete. At this stage, it's a little premature to do secret coordination, and they're hoping to get everything together so they can resubmit in early March. And so hopefully we'll look at it again for secret coordination at that point. And I have it all summarized on the checklist for the applicant as well. It's in the packet dated yesterday with everything that they'll have to address. But the items that referencing completeness are the few that I touched on.
Yeah, that list.
Everything else is just sort of, they'll have to get to at some point, but I'll provide it anyway.
So our action is to deem it incomplete. Okay.
The
Motion?
applicant is here if anyone has questions, by the way.
Consider it when it's complete.
That's
Yes,
right.
yeah.
So motion to deem it by
Motion.
Kate, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 7 in favor. And you'll get that information to Pam, that she needs. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge the signed plans, 18, 917 West Main, and number 19 Bartlett Tree Experts. I think there was a
They
walk-on, Claire?
have been signed.
Yeah, the walk-on is East Quogue Mobile Home Park, and it's right here.
Okay,
So they're just the top one, so 6 signatures.
okay.
A signature.
So acknowledge for signature. So now we can talk about the town board climate action plan. Seth, if you could,
Fantastic. Okay. I sent out some discussion notes. I'm not sure if
you did.
you got them in time. I've highlighted in bold some action items that I thought we could discuss, so a little change of ambiance here. I would love to hear some enabling code and some great recommendations to pass along to the town board.
Did you not submit a list of, a recap of what we had recommended?
I put a resolution together of
Do you have
recommendations.
that?
It should have been in the agenda. If it wasn't, I have one copy. I don't unfortunately have.
I didn't see it in your attachments that you sent out,
It's not
the
in.
resolution. There was reference to it, but I,
There
this
was
is,
reference to it, but you haven't seen it. Well, you'll have another crack at it. I'll make sure to send it along.
Yeah, because I didn't recognize some of those recommendations that, I don't know, that we made them or that you added them, so.
No, I took
You
the
took
notes
copious
and
notes.
passed them along for editing,
okay.
to be sharpened up.
But you don't have that now.
I don't have copies now. I thought it had been
Okay.
sent out with the.
So what do you want to go over
So,
now is,
yeah, so we looked at sustainable design and land
Do you
use
want me to
planning.
print out what was in the packet? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, we
it's
don't have it.
The resolution, yeah, let me see if
If you
I,
have one copy, maybe you can get this
Oh,
meeting
no,
copy.
I'll just print it out. If it's in the packet of the resolution, is that it?
yeah, that's what I
Oh,
have.
let me copy it.
Is that
So we had looked on the 11th at sustainable design and land use planning, which is a catch-all, honestly, for many of the action items throughout the climate action plan. But some of the things I thought that we hadn't had a chance to discuss were carbon sequestration. Quickly, I brought that one up because it is the largest, we need to set aside 88 billion metric tons of carbon or their equivalents through the carbon sequestration priority area. So it's a gigantic area. I thought you would like to weigh in. Basically, it's about vegetation, maintaining the vegetation we have, and looking for future carbon sinks and alternate forms of carbon sequestration.
Go ahead, sorry.
Just because I'm sorry I wasn't here on the 11th. That was the meeting I really wanted to make, but COVID called instead, so I didn't make it. But the first one you have on your action items,
Yeah.
conduct a townwide tree inventory.
Yes.
If that was an item that was discussed, because my question is, okay, what do you do, how do you do a tree inventory? What are you inventorying? I mean, to me, that would sound extremely ambitious. Thank you, that's a good word.
Absolutely. I mean, I quite honestly want to hear from you guys. My understanding is that they would be species of importance, and we would be looking at species that are viable carbon sinks. Basically, it reminds me of large trees on a parcel that you would want to set those aside, perhaps during the when the trees are identified on a parcel, that they would be Instead of just trees, they would be species and sizes specific?
I think we've been saying for a long time that we need something limiting clear cutting in the non-APOD.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
And
I know Michelangelo
Mhm.
was trying to come up with something, and he struck out. But
Oh, nice.
Okay.
right now, the APOD
stealing it from
clearing
town
does
board?
a lot of it.
Okay. Yes, so that was certainly, so we can just group the three action items that I put in the cargo sequestration, but certainly a tree ordinance, expansion of APOD to areas that are not covered by it,
Yes.
those are things that
I think that, Gloria, and I think, yeah, as you said, we have
Exactly.
discussed that. I think that's,
We-
in my mind,
we've
something
been-
very actionable.
And the Sustainability Committee
Right.
has had conversations with Michelangelo Friedman before he left, trying to come up with a code
Right.
that is maybe less tree-specific and more general, that makes it, the application, maybe the application is then with us to somehow limit the clear cutting.
throughout the town, not
Throughout
just,
the
not,
town, yes.
Throughout the
and not
Because-
just clear cutting. I mean, maybe some limit of how many trees you can clear without having to get a permit. Because
Yes.
very often you drive around and see people, they may not clear cut a half acre, but they take down 10 trees or
Yeah.
10 of the biggest trees. And coupling with that, how many times have we seen people come, they cut the trees down and then we'll revegetate with.
Yes,
Yeah.
one or two
There
inch
has to be a,
caliber.
there has to be a
And-
One,
penalty for taking down a 15-inch
Force
oak tree
force the
versus
cri-
putting back a
the
2
re-veg,
inch. Yeah,
much larger caliber of
exactly,
trees.
thank you.
I would like those penalties to be a deterrent,
Yes.
not a
more
cost of
than that.
business.
Right. One thing that I thought could be maybe easier to implement is a requirement to notice if you're gonna be clearing more than X% of your lot. So that then, you know, the surrounding neighbors would not only be aware of what's gonna occur in their neighborhood, but also have the opportunity to weigh in on it about the importance or wildlife that they might be seeing in the area. And that then, you know, then that could carry forward to some kind of legislation that enables the planning board to impose a clearing restriction based on a specific lot in a specific area. Because like the APOD is such a good enabling legislation, but, you know, in Hampton Bays, I think most of it, there's no clearing restrictions. So you do see people just kind of take things down and, you know, it's shocking, right?
Right.
Well,
There's no
There's a planning board
consideration.
side, but there's also like the building permit side, you know. where-
Right, that's what I mean.
So people in existing lots who suddenly decide they want to clear, you know, 20 feet of property to create a bigger lawn or something like that, you know.
Yeah, like how do you get a, you don't even need a permit for clearing if you're on a certain size lot in a certain zone, right? So maybe that's something that there's a pause as part of the building permit process that considers clearing and also notice to neighbors so that you have the community able to say, here's what I'm seeing, right? If they so choose, or they might not care.
So could I coin that as a tree ordinance? Would these fall into something that would be
Yeah.
considered as
Like a
a?
vegetation
Clearing.
clearing permit.
Townwide tree
You know,
ordinance,
would
right.
have all the
Okay.
various bullets,
Okay,
With
notice before the clearing,
then yes, yes, with these
inventory of what
points.
you're taking
Okay.
down, and then a permit to take it down.
Okay, excellent. So, yeah, that was some of the considerations that I was hoping to hear from you on.
And I think the
Uh,
inventory, just to kind of finish the thought on that, to me,
Yes.
that sounds extremely ambitious. And I think, I know
Certainly.
I would need to know, I think we'd all need to know, what exactly are you inventorying? And then, as I learned in research a long time ago, what are you gonna do with that information?
Right.
I mean, is it public property, is it private property, is it all property?
Exactly.
You know, it's a
You
big town.
could also
And is it an accurate
Yeah.
inventory?
It's an accurate.
And then trees die.
Right, and what are you gonna do with it?
Absolutely.
Right, right.
More of a blanket thing that could be implemented, so we have the APOD to protect the aquifer.
Right.
But we don't have a stormwater, runoff reduction overlay district, and that could be
Okay.
kind of interesting if you had, you know, areas, like I live close to a road ending that goes into Shinnecock Bay, and if there's additional clearing, it creates a silting and runoff, so it could be a runoff, like a surface water protection overlay district that addresses septic as well as addresses runoff related to clearing.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah, I
be
mean,
an
I-
interesting
I-
method to
Yeah.
GIS map that.
Yeah, I
as a
think
district.
one of the
Okay.
challenges to any kind of tree ordinance out of the APOD, it's, you need a good reason, and now that we know through the cap that carbon sequestration
Yes.
is a valuable thing to do, that could be the key, like protecting our water and drinking water in the APOD. The sequestration is the backbone for why these rules are now in place. Because I
Mhm.
think that's been one of the hangups that the town board didn't feel comfortable addressing some sort of additional restrictions, because it just sounds like Big Brother.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
but the value
Well,
of
and
the
there's-
trees needs to be really reinforced in language that people understand, you know, that it's carbon sequestration. And the value of the trees to the environment is
Absolutely.
important.
Including our own
And
health.
Public
And
health,
right?
absolutely.
And also, I mean, I agree with Tom that it's hard to do an inventory of your trees.
No.
But is there a mechanism that we can use that can be created, like a vegetation clearing permit outside the APOD in
That's-
general?
I think that's what I
Well,
was
that's part of the
suggesting.
tree ordinance that we've been
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
at, right?
Yeah.
Some of those things.
It's a
right?
good
Yeah.
idea.
And you might be able to use, for example, we have so much aerial photos that if somebody reports something, you can have a way
A way
of checking
proving-
to
Yeah,
see
checking it.
Google Earth.
Right.
what's been done.
So that would be the main points of carbon sequestration. We can move on at your leisure or quickly. I did want to bring to the fore transportation. We had discussed bicycle networks and walkability.
Right.
I was,
Steph, on that one, let me jump in, because I
Okay.
read that with interest. The town board did adopt a complete streets outline, or the first steps of a complete streets program in about 2011. Changing town board staff, changing town board members, changing town staff over the years. That did not go terribly far. But one of the things that was done was that there were some suggested changes to the town code in support of complete streets.
okay.
The town also at that point inventoried all the sidewalks in the town, all the bike lanes, all the bike routes. It's all on GIS now, you know, and that was one good thing that came out of it. But, and looking at what you had written, I think what we did at that time was put a half-mile circle around the hamlet centers, the schools. I think the beaches were in there, the recreation, the things you mentioned in here
Yes.
that are in the cap. So there may be some stuff in the computer,
Okay.
some early
Yeah.
work that was already done that
Okay.
you know, might want to go back and reference. As I said, didn't get as far as some of us had hoped, but it was started, and there was some town board initiatives to, you know, kind of get it going.
I
Okay.
remember that E-Tran, East End Transit,
Yes.
with the light rail proposal.
That
That was a
was-
long time ago, but there could be some little golden nuggets in there.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think looking at some of the things that we've
If the
done.
work's already been done.
Sustainable East End development strategies, because
Right.
that goes back, and I think at that time, we also mapped, the GIS mapped, you know, the amount of open space in
I
the town.
haven't come across it. I will
You know,
certainly
so
dig into
I
that.
can-
And the
I can-
Trails Board, have they ever offered anything on walkability or bicycle
Well,
lanes?
they're always,
They do.
Is it strictly
trails.
hiking?
No, yeah,
Yeah.
hiking, they don't.
but
don't
there's
weigh
also
in.
horseback riding on them too.
Yes, yes,
So
but
they-
not, biking and hiking are not very well connected together, because trail bikes and stuff
Sure.
chew up the hiking paths, and they too fast, and they're dangerous.
Okay,
So-
okay, so that's out of their purview.
So
So you might
that's-
want to ask Tom Houghton to go into the intermodal transportation files, and I know there's some files on complete streets in there, to see what you know, some of what had been done.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna stop you. It's 5 of 5. And-
High albedo roofs, in favor?
Well, I
Any-
mean, don't shortchange it. You've got an awful lot of information that I think we've given you. We
A
can
lot to
continue it another
digest,
time,
sure.
but we have to
Okay.
take a break.
I understand.
Can
When
we
do we have to-
individually weigh in, like
Yeah,
via
sure.
email?
Yeah, when,
Is that
You know, because,
permissible, I
like,
assume?
I think about this stuff all the time.
when are we looking to do that
Yeah.
referral back? When are we looking to do the official referral back to
Yeah.
the town? What's the date? on
I
that?
assume it's in your control, so as long as the recommend,
So this is a
There's no
referral from
timeline.
us
So-
back to the town board.
yeah.
So we'll have another session.
And we will be revisiting as things are
Right.
adopted.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I mean,
By
here's
the
a
town.
consideration, just, you know, could we recommend certain things in chunks? Because that's how they're gonna adopt
Yes.
them anyway,
Right.
right? The
Exactly.
tree thing could be
Yeah,
straight
if you-
away.
if
You
you
wanna
write it out,
put
so-
something together
Let's see.
for the 22nd, and then
And
it
the
could be
trails and
voted
the
on.
walking things, I think
That's an
Tom.
interesting
good,
point.
'cause
You
then it
know,
doesn't
and
get
we'll start
overwhelming.
With the
to
ton of
check things
Then you
off.
can just have
Get
some
them
sections.
blocks.
Yeah,
so
get
they
going on
actually-
that right away, here, you know.
You wanna,
Okay. So
Okay.
I'll-
Jack,
So
you-
type up
I'll
what
put
you
it in the
have.
blocks
You
and I'll
wanna
put it in
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
all of it.
There's also, I think you need to.
Yeah, motion to adjourn. Motion by Dennis, second by
Second.
Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we are adjourned.
You know, it's
7:00.
also,